Evening, everybody. I know this is not the time I should be starting, but I am feeling much more rested than I was at the start of today. I've got tea, which is always good news for me. Maybe not so much good news for the rest of you as I can't share. But I'm really looking forward to doing some more House of Light tonight, and I hope you are too, although I know the hour will sometimes mean that there are fewer people who get to join us. Not a whole lot to say broadcast wise. I think I have an idea in terms of how, like, I kind of see what equilibrium looks like for the stream again. And unfortunately, I know the next month is going to be quite intense in terms of just the workload that I have. So I can't make any promises in terms of start time, but I believe I should be good for interruptions to the stream until. Well, hang on. I was wrong last stream, so the third Wednesday. Oh, okay. Actually, that's good to note. I believe the third Wednesday of this month should be the 16th, and that is actually also the week of Thanksgiving. So that week I will probably take Monday and Wednesday off. I'm sorry it works out that way, right? It just seems to be that mid-month is both when the holidays fall and when the local game dev collective meets up. So that's that. But other than, again, Canadian holidays, I don't expect people to keep track of. But that's my usual. Those are the usual days that I take off, and that's just because after a while I do start really feeling worn out. And then November there will be. So first of all, there's Remembrance Day, but I do know I'm going to be out of town for a few days in November as well. So, some interruptions, but I figure, a standard month without too much in terms of interruptions other than holidays is enough to kind of get us back on track. And so far as I can tell, I don't have any other sort of streaming events or anything like that ready to go. Now it looks like we've got a new patch. So patch 2024 10J3 Janus. The Wonderful Shape is now a Dawn book. Rest at Sweet Bones winter message now only displays in winter. Tooltip on First Day Ticker no longer flickers. Tune some of the sounds in the Wisdom Tree. I'm wondering if that means that it doesn't make the sort of shimmering sound each time. If you've completed a standard ending more than once, it will no longer display twice in the ending screen. If you've created a complex lighthouse ending with different values more than once, it will still display multiple times. Chinese and Russian versions of the closed village buildings now display correct highlight images. Added some guard logging code that might help with that bloody high contrast settings crash. Fixed an issue with the unfettered eye, where Hokobald would sometimes be inspired under the wrong circumstances. House of Light, Olympus Heist option is now available without a fiddly memory trick. The Beehive won't offer the upgraded Beehive recipes by default anymore. That's nice, just because, I don't like... It's nice to take advantage of, like, an exploit every once in a while, but, I don't want to... I don't want to mess around. Now, this is an interesting statement here. So, St. Tentretto's altar is consistent about its requirements after a change. And I'm curious about that, because St. Tentretto is, hey, Oswin, you're early today or I'm late. And you know what? I am happy with both, because I'm always very happy to see you here. And we get to chat Book of Hours. I know you've been... I like how you are being persistent with the game. Oh, also, a mutual acquaintance of ours has seen World of Tomorrow now. So at least I think you liked that film. But anyways, yeah. Sorry, I just read one of the changes. Okay. So yeah, I'm curious if this is related to the... Now, it says House of Light, so it makes me think that there's something else about St. Tentretto's altar, but House of Light Spencer no longer confuses down for out. Mushroom meringue now correctly causes regret. That the mushroom meringue is never going to cease to be amusing. Oh yes, no, I know that you had I'd shown it to you. I just didn't want to assume your preferences, but but yeah, yeah, I showed it to Prosciutto Fist. I should show you the description for it, Oswin. And Zerogdri, welcome. Always nice to see your animated emotes. All right, avenues of inquiry have a less misleading no incident just now message, and in new games that message will occur only when there are no incidents at all. The endless struggle against typos remains endless, but it proceeds. A slight tweak to Arthur's request for one of the Deoris versions to make it clearer which version he wants. So this is important because this is actually one that we are interested in fulfilling. However, we don't have we do not have Deoris in this playthrough yet. Rowena's burden will no longer cause the convene action to loop frighteningly. Some work to make founder names localizable in complex ending screens, which happily also puts a correct hyphen in Aladim, and Echidna is now blocked from attending salons in both of her modes. Alright, so I think we go back to, the October 2nd save. I'm almost done my tea already. Everything is remembered, Hush House endures. Okay, so because Oswin says mushroom meringue sounds delicious, the first I found out about mushroom meringue, and I believe I still have a meringue hanging around somewhere. Shame on me if I don't, but I can make one. Actually, I'm going to just take a look at that tweak on the... Yep. Definitely, I think Pro will be quite happy with this change, actually. Alright. Meringue. Meringue, add to milk for a legendary dessert, or with spicing, add to apples or pears, even to mushrooms if you're feeling perverse. Now, I don't... you can actually also do that. Do it with pickled mushrooms now, although fresh mushrooms is more appropriate. But once you have made the mushroom meringue, I thought I had it in the refectory. What in the Wolf Divided's most splintered name hath here been wrought? One winter pudding. All right. Yeah, the mushroom meringue is a special one. Let's bring up my notes and see where we're... Whoa! Okay. I was worried for a minute. So if I take a look at, so I specifically wanted to put together the picnic in the Gulskrai Logia. Somber conversations where once before Valentine sat alone. Here one might have a picnic, but only in spring or summer. So we do want to make sure that we get this done reasonably soon. So we have got... Ooh. There are some neat... there are definitely some neat updates here in the... Hey, Prosciutto Fist! Pro, I've got some wonderful news for you. I'm actually going to turn the volume up for this. So, you may recall your favorite screen in the game. Right? So that I already feel has been made a little bit more minor, but it also doesn't make the noises over the... What? I never heard that. Huh. Anyways, generally I think this is sort of chilled out a little bit in terms of its sound, so hopefully that's a bit more enjoyable to me. I never noticed this though. I thought it was slightly better, but... should we read the mushroom meringue description for Pro as well? Pro is an accountant in a bakery and doesn't pay people. Or maybe she's the other kind of accountant. Okay, so at least this was what was suggested last stream. All right, so in House of Light, which I believe you bought the game opening week, so you should already have a copy of this. But it gives you little hints in terms of what you can make. So here we've got meringue, and it'll give you in the description a bit of a hint because it's not something that you can eat on its own. Well, I'm sure it's actually very enjoyable on its own, but you can't make a dish out of it. So add to milk for a legendary dessert, or with spicing, add to apples or pears, or even to mushrooms if you're feeling perverse. Well, I'm sure it is no surprise to you that I am often feeling perverse. So if you add it to milk, you get the floating island, vanilla, custard, and meringue, landscaped and carameled, a Claridge's specialty. I think it's the Perpetual Edition, but yes, so you'll have House of Light. The Walls of Ys, a frankly insensitive name that commemorates the inundation of that fabled city. I think there's another meringue... meringue. Oh, here it is. The baked pear meringue. Harvey Hattington, during his convalescence at the house, became obsessed with meringuing techniques. He was known to sneak down to the kitchens and interfere with the cooks in pursuit of his ideal. But Oswin did mention that mushroom meringue sounds wonderful, and here it is. What in the Wolf Divided's most splintered name hath here been wrought? One winter, pudding. If you don't eat your meat, you can't have any pudding. How can you have any pudding if you don't eat your meat? So, a little something for you to look forward to. It's a little bit like your mushroom light in the background. So anyways, let me take a minute here to talk about a couple of lovely streamers who are here early in the chat. I know I don't have many people to shout them out to, but perhaps if you're watching on YouTube and you're looking for more Book of Hours streamers or just good streamers in general, this will give you an opportunity. So Oswin Meow was in the chat first, a wonderful broadcaster who I actually originally found through being a viewer of mine and not realizing it at the time. Does occasional streams, has actually the one person I've seen play Helldivers 2, but I've also really enjoyed watching her play Book of Hours, even though it's one which I know causes mixed feelings on occasion. And I will actually say that Oswin is a great joy to have in chat and just generally be able to talk to. It's one of these cases where this is sometimes the real joy of finding a broadcast where the chat is sometimes quiet. Because Oswin is a very thoughtful and very experienced individual on a lot of topics, and if you take the time to talk with her about them, you will learn a lot, and you will find somebody with just very interesting views on the world, and it's one of these things that, to a certain extent, when you play a weightier game like Cultist Simulator or Book of Hours, you know, games that are about ideas, but it doesn't necessarily sort of rub your face in the fact. These are some things where I actually think Oswin can really shine, and so this is one of the reasons why I often encourage all of you to follow these streams, because in some cases, if there isn't someone to have the conversation with, sometimes that can be missed, and so definitely a channel worth following, and the next time she goes online, I hope I get the chance to see you all there. And not to be outdone, we have got the wonderful Prosciutto Fist. Now, Prosciutto Fist, first of all, is somebody who I also found through Book of Hours, although in her case, I originally saw her playing Book of Hours, and I believe it is because the game looked like strange horticulture that she wound up with some weirdo in her chat who just won't stop being a pest, or a menace. Actually, I really like that Pro uses the word menace frequently. But so first of all, a lot of interesting games. I've long wanted to play the Sherlock Holmes series because I am an Arthur Conan Doyle fan, although I keep mistaking the dog that doesn't bark in the night that's referred to in the Calyptra book. I keep just like an idiot thinking that's the Hound of the Baskervilles, despite the fact that the Hound of the Baskervilles was quite noisy, and it is the Silver Blaze that has the dog that does not bark in the night. Anyways, I'm an Arthur Conan Doyle fan. It is a real joy to watch Pro actually play the Sherlock Holmes games because I've never seen them. Even like I've never played them, never seen them. But I will actually say that Pro has started to do history streams, I think every Wednesday. So, of course, I'm broadcasting at that time. I don't always get a chance to see them. But I will tell you that she does a lot of work for them. A lot of setup. And there have been a few different sort of nudges in terms of the overall style. No, that was not. This is not intended to be some sort of message that's like you gotta schedule it at another time. You can watch the VOD. It's your channel. I'm trying to hopefully give people a reason to hang out though. But no, I know it's actually something. It's really nice to kind of see a broadcaster that you like talking about an idea that they have, and then see them implement it. And I really feel like Pro is in her element when she's doing those history streams. And again, I say this as someone who doesn't get to see all of them, but I will definitely say that I have also been in her channel, again, being a bit of a pest like I want to do, and just people coming in saying like, hey, I saw your stream on Vlad Tepes, like that was really cool. So it is definitely one of these things which I do encourage you to check out. And again, somebody who does still play games, somebody who will be returning to Book of Hours, hopefully. But it's one of these things, again, much like Oswin, although for different reasons. Like both of them are very thoughtful and interesting people, but also don't necessarily just sort of quote the same things. But these are people who I often feel if you take the time to listen to them, and especially to interact with them, these are streams with a lot of added value, and particularly because the people who come and watch me during the Weather Factory games are often a joy to have in chat. I hope a number of you check out Oswin and Pro and treat them, I was going to say as well as you treat me, but I'll say better in case some of you are closet jerks. But no, two wonderful streamers who are absolutely worth taking the time to shout out. But we are going to return to our time in Hush House. So I have been trying to work out this salon. So my kind of setup so far has been I kind of want to have one of everything as far as the dishes are concerned, and then just sort of make the replacements. So we've got... So we need Sky and Winter for Connie and Zachary. So we've got Winter here. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Sky and Winter here. So this is actually just kind of a bonus, I guess, for the kills. We have Winter, Sky. So really, we just need one other dish, although I will put a side dish in as well. And I guess I was already working on the floating island. So then I suppose the last question is, what is the side? Delude Daybreak, another wonderful streamer. I'm going to take a second and mention this just because I believe there is another Rift of the Necrodancer demo out. Let me actually take a minute to double check this. But Delude Daybreak, in addition to doing the Elder Scrolls series with Aplomb, was someone who found the channel through Rift of the Necrodancer, which is not Weather Factory. It's Brace Yourself Games' follow-up to Crypt of the Necrodancer. It's more of a rhythm game rather than the dungeon crawler that excuse me, the dungeon crawler that Crypt of the Necrodancer is. But it's really, really good. And I happen to know that Delude is very good at the game. So for those of you that want to try it, I believe the demos are limited in time. So definitely one to try when you can. But I would definitely say it's quite a sight to watch Delude play Rift of the Necrodancer, and I highly encourage you to. We also have Malmal 357 in here. Which dish would you most want to eat if it were real? I think we're going to get a lot of mushroom meringues. Which one would I want to eat on my own? How about I do one of each of the... how about I do one from each of the style, like the categories? So one side dish, one main course, one pudding, one starter. So I guess I could also try the drinks, but let's not go crazy. So for first course, actually, you know, the fried mushroom on toast sounds like kind of a sounds kind of I think, yeah, I'd say the mushrooms on fried mushrooms on toast. For the side dish, well, I suppose I'd have to have the game chips on that one. So for the main course, I am a little curious what jugged pheasant is like, but I kind of feel King's Luck pie is one of these things that you need to try because of its at Hush House. Like, I feel like if you're only going to have one dinner at Hush House, I kind of feel like the King's Luck pie is the one that you would need to do. And then for the pudding, this is a tough one because, like, Walls of Ys sounds like a, you know, like that's obviously a big special one. But of the discrete, I mean, like the floating island actually sounds really good, and baked prepare meringue. Yeah, the puddings are actually probably the hardest ones. So I think because I had sort of a thematic one, I'd maybe try the floating island, but I'm also tempted by the Walls of Ys. And Deluge says you've not been especially active on Twitch lately due to graduate work and costume stuff, but when I return to streaming, I hope I'm mentally prepared for your Sheogorath. Well, this is, I mean, Deluge, I'll be honest, like, I always appreciate the notification, but I always feel like that's all the more reason to do the shout-outs, because if someone isn't regular... I remember once upon a time, somebody gave a very nice shout-out for my stream, and like it was really obvious that, I mean, it's a, you know, it was somebody that I moderated for, and you always can kind of tell which viewers kind of have the crush on the streamer in that, and it's always like, you know, make the mental note of when they're going to be a pain and you might need to step in. But I remember that guy at the time. I got this like really nice shout out, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll follow him the next time that he's online." And I'm like, "What the hell are you gonna know that I'm online? Like, I'm fine if you don't follow. It's not a requirement." But that it was. I thought that was just such the lamest possible reply. Or stolen valor, or whatever that counts as. So yeah, in my view, even if somebody isn't regularly streaming, right, this is the time to talk them up, to give people a reason to hit that follow button, because you will be back on stream one day, and I think a lot of people will really enjoy that when they get a chance to see it. And of course, best of luck with school. You've got a couple of people who are academics inside the chat, I think, and I know you're one, you're in good company, but I also am not that far away from my schooling. I miss it actually. To know that that is also a bit of a tricky time. It's like saying I'm busy to a canvasser who can clearly see you walk away and in no rush whatsoever. Yeah, no, it's like, you know, I've never felt bad that somebody doesn't follow my stuff, right? I am an acquired taste. You know, there's lots of options on Twitch. It's absolutely not a big deal if people don't want to watch or don't want to follow. But you know, if you if you're gonna try and get in good with the streamer, maybe don't, or the streamer doing the shout out, like maybe come up with a slightly better answer to that. I don't know. All right, so we're on our way to making the floating island. So I think I also want to, where I can, try and get a few more of those lessons towards the skills I want to level up. Now, I'm all over the place in terms of my plan. It's here somewhere. Oh, yeah, here we go. So I believe I finished my illumination path. Whoa. Let's try that again. See, I think I was working on Watchman's Paradoxes, so if I can get another 2 Sky and or Lantern books, we are in good shape. Dumb question. Do you upset the chicken if you talk to her? Well, every time you talk to one of the animals, they will want to be fed. So to a certain extent, yes. But it's not a permanent state of annoyance. It's a state where you need to bribe them. I will actually be doing that in a little bit, Oswin. So I'll be able to show you how that works if you want. You also have, I guarantee you have the way of getting that chicken back into action if you do talk with them. So you're fine. All right, let's try and find something to read before I get too far down the path. So I do believe glass blowing and vessel crafting will do the trick here. High traditions, no, something with 2 would be best, so 8 or higher. Crossing to noon doesn't fit. Door and wall might, though. No, what was I thinking? That's a forge knock. Chandler's Wish is actually... oh, that's a really high level one, though. I mean, not that that's terrible. I think I'm actually starting to come up short on a couple of these upgrades, but I think the Serenity of the Black Wood will do the trick here. So let me just make sure that I have what it takes. So we can go to Natan's desk in this case. So if I read the Serenity of the Black Wood, we would add our Tryst, we would add Transformations and Liberations. So we would need a memory out of that. That's actually not that hard for me to get. So I think in this case, we'll just use the Occult Scrap and the Shears of the Sisterhood. Moth choice. I can master this mystery. Enough moth to match mystery moth. And while we do that, I will regain my lost Occult Scrap. Investigate this object. You won't use this up or consume it by doing this. And while I'm at it, I might as well make the floating island. So if I take the Arab here, we can take the meringue and the milk. Make a floating island, a dish with grail, heart, rose, and sky. How much did you miss? Care to redo everything, Ether Dragon? Sure, why not? I actually have a few saves that are at the very beginning that I'd like to, I'd kind of like to do. So be careful what you wish for, Ether Dragon, because there's multiple saves that I can, in fact, do that for. And as much as you enjoy baking, you've never mastered puff pastry. It's always either too much puff or not enough. Well, I've never baked, Delude, so you're already better off than I am. I feel that any puff is better than no puff. All right, so let's. Our two options here are to talk to Terence the chicken. Was this magnificent and indomitable beast named for the rector's indomitable and magnificent housekeeper? Best not to inquire too closely. Or Tuppence, the other chicken. Tuppence's most notable quality, all observers will agree, is that she is not Terence. So let's have a chat. Offer this beast my company. Who knows? Perhaps it will offer something in return. You are very welcome to share a secret cookie lore, Delude. All right. While we're up to that, let's keep ransacking Crowcross Sands and the moor. The wind's almost warm. We can keep making money at the Sweet Bones. I could offer help with correspondence and arithmetic. There's no school in Brandkrug, and not everyone here knows their letters. And I need to decide whether or not I want to bring Mr. Killen for memories. I think that will be useful after we are done with the chickens. So then the remaining question is, I will just point out, so we are in summer, which means that we can hire the barber. So in terms of rooms that would help with, we have an 11 rows room. We have a... Actually, it looks like it's just the rows. Okay, so we'll take a minute to see whether or not we have what we need for the rows. But I think we may need to rely on some special help. All the cooking in this game kind of makes you want to try to make some of the dishes for real to try them. For instance, I've never made a meringue of any kind. So Ether Dragon, I kid you not, like this is true for, this is not the first time that this has happened for Book of Hours for me. I have actually bought a cookbook, and it's a super nerdy cookbook too. Specifically because of the description of the dishes in Book of Hours. It was also the addition of Sky and all of the discussion of music that sort of inspired me to get back to sort of practicing piano more as well. So I'm really, I understand that impulse, and I think that's possibly, I don't know if that's intended, but that's definitely consistent with my experience. Justice to all says time to whip up some egg whites. It is. We're actually already on our path in the jail kitchen. And Delude says, when making chocolate chip cookies, you have two options with the butter. Either beat the butter into a fine, airy cream or melt it. Creaming the butter is generally considered a better method, but it's time and labor intensive. I have always relied on melted butter, but using melted butters can create problems, namely melty dough. So it's a little weird to call it a cookbook. It is. Let me. I'll actually bring it over. That also gave me a not-so-secret opportunity to refill the kettle and get a glass of water. So it's On Food and Cooking, The Science and Lore of the Kitchen, completely revised and updated by Harold McGee. From the inside cover, Harold McGee's On Food and Cooking is a kitchen classic, hailed by Time magazine as a minor masterpiece when it first appeared in 1984. On Food and Cooking is a Bible to which food lovers and professional chefs worldwide turn for an understanding of where our foods come from, what exactly they're made of, and how cooking transforms them into something new and delicious. Now, for the 20th anniversary, Harold McGee has prepared a new, fully revised and updated edition of On Food and Cooking. He has rewritten the text almost completely, expanded it by 2/3, and commissioned more than 100 new illustrations. As compulsively reading and engaging as ever, the new On Food and Cooking provides countless eye-opening insights into food, its preparation, and its enjoyment. On Food and Cooking pioneered the translation of technical food science into a cook-friendly kitchen science and helped give birth to the inventive culinary movement known as molecular gastronomy. Though other books have now been written about kitchen science, On Food and Cooking remains unmatched in the accuracy, clarity, and thoroughness of its explanations, and the intriguing way it blends science with the historical evolution of foods and cooking techniques. Among the major themes addressed throughout this new edition are traditional and modern methods of food production and their influences on food quality, the great diversity of methods by which people in different places and times have prepared the same ingredients, tips for selecting the best ingredients and preparing them successfully, the particular substances that give foods their flavor and give us pleasure, our evolving knowledge of the health benefits and risks of food. On Food and Cooking is an invaluable and monumental compendium of basic information about the ingredients, cooking methods, and the pleasures of eating. It will delight and fascinate anyone who has ever cooked, savored, and wondered about food. I'm going to just move past the index and the references. So the main text here, by all means, a WorldCat link is slightly better because that gives people, like, I know it's available in the, I know the link is also available, the WorldCat, like, it's available in my local library, so I always like to link WorldCat personally, but obviously it's your choice of link, so whatever you think is most appropriate. But yeah, so I just kind of tried to move past. I'm not sure this is the exact page count, but 813 pages or thereabouts. And just to give you an idea in terms of what this is like, I'm not going to read too much from it. But Chapter 1, Milk and Dairy Products. Here's how it starts. So actually, here's the table of contents for Chapter 1. Mammals and milk, the evolution of milk, the rise of the ruminants, dairy animals and the world, the origins of dairying, diverse traditions, milk and health, milk nutrients, milk and infancy and childhood, nutrition and allergies, milk after infancy, dealing with lactose, new questions about milk, milk biology and chemistry, how the cow makes milk, milk sugar, lactose, milk fat, milk proteins, coagulation by acid and enzymes, milk flavor, unfermented dairy products, milks, cream, butter, and margarine, ice cream, fresh fermented milks and creams, lactic acid bacteria, families of fresh fermented milks, yogurt, soured creams, and buttermilk, including creme fraiche, cooking with fermented milks, and cheese, the evolution of cheese, the ingredients of cheese, making cheese, the sources of cheese diversity, choosing, storing, and serving cheese, cooking with cheese, processed and low-fat cheeses, and cheese and health. And just to give you an idea of what this reads like, what better subject for the first chapter than the food with which we all begin our lives? Humans are mammals, a word that means creatures of the breast, and the first food that any mammal tastes is milk. Milk is food for the beginning eater, a gulpable essence distilled by the mother from her own more variable and challenging diet. When our ancestors took up dairying, they adopted the cow, the ewe, and the goat as surrogate mothers. These creatures accomplished the miracle of turning meadow and hay into buckets of human nourishment, and their milk turned out to be an elemental fluid rich in possibility, just a step or two away from luxurious cream, fragrant golden butter, and a multitude of flavorful foods concocted by friendly microbes. No wonder that milk captured the imaginations of many cultures. The ancient Indo-Europeans were cattle herders who moved out of the Caucasus steppes to settle vast areas of Eurasia around 3000 BCE, and milk and butter are prominent in their creation myths and their descendants from India from India to Scandinavia. People of the Mediterranean and Middle East relied on the oil of their olive tree rather than butter, but milk and cheese still figure in the Old Testament as symbols of abundance and creation. The modern imagination holds a very different view of milk. Mass production has turned it and its products from precious, marvelous resources into ordinary commodities, and medical science stigmatized them for their fat content. Fortunately, a more balanced view of dietary fat is developing, and traditional versions of dairy foods survive. It's possible to savor the remarkable foods that millennia of human ingenuity have teased from milk. A sip of milk itself or a scoop of ice cream can be a Proustian draught of youth's innocence and energy and possibility, while a morsel of fine cheese is a rich meditation on maturity, the fulfillment of possibility, the way of all flesh. And in terms of quotes here, there is a quote, I think it's Rig Veda, RG Veda, Book 10, circa 1200 BCE. God to Moses on Mount Horeb, so Exodus and Job are the three quotes on the page. So yeah, I mean, again, like this is not a standard cookbook by any mean, but that's exactly it. And actually, I appreciate you taking the time to find the WorldCat link there. Ether Dragon, just because I know you asked about Amazon, but in this case here, you'll notice that WorldCat does actually have a comparison in addition to some information as to whether or not it's available in the library. So I always like that just because it gives people the widest options while still preserving the other one. So I know that involved a bit of extra work on your part, but that is exactly the book that I was quoting out of. That's great to hear, Oswin. That probably wasn't cheap for you. I will say that the ebook edition is a bit less expensive, but for my part, I definitely wanted a hard copy. So, and Dalude says cooking was an essential part of her life and her soul. Oh, sorry. There's a bit more of a text here. My kettle's boiling, so I'm just gonna be back really quick. I will read that, and then we will properly get this meringue made. I feel like Oswin might find some uses for the leftover mice in the lab with this book. All right, David says, also, SC, you find this interesting. Your grandmother loved to cook, but in her early 70s, she lost sight due to an autoimmune condition. She continued to cook despite her new challenges, and one year, when helping to make her a Thanksgiving dinner, my dad realized that she could still measure dry ingredients in large measuring cups because she could tell how much it was based on the sound. That is fascinating. Cooking was an essential part of her life and her soul's daily diet. It's amazing how she adapted to be able to engage with an activity that was so important to her. My dad has been working on a book of her recipes. That is really cool to hear, Daly. Thank you for sharing that story. All right, so so I was going to say, right, this is, I mean, again, we've been waiting a little while to get into the game, so I won't spend too much time on this. But these are some of the reasons why, even if it's been a tough day or one where it's hard to get started on time, I really like streaming games like this, and especially streaming it to all of you, because this is not just a game of move the card into the slot, right? It's a game about ideas. I think there is something to be said for a game where when they add Sky and there's descriptions of music, I think it's like, you know what? I miss being able to play piano, and I think maybe I should practice again. And that when they add the cooking is described in such a way, and I get such enjoyment out of preparing the salons that I was like, you know what? I remember reading that Harold McGee book once upon a time. Maybe I should take that up again too. And, being able to share that sort of stuff and having people have such a warm reaction and sort of really engaging with some of the ideas here is always a bit of a joy. So I'm hoping all of your wallets are not too much lighter for the, for the talk of the books. Again, hopefully you're able to find that in a library if you want to test the waters. I believe, at least in terms of the Apple Books app too, there is a preview. So if you want to read that chapter on milk that I was reading from, I believe that is a free sample. But it's free cheese samples, just like in a grocery store. But again, it's always very rewarding to be able to talk about all this stuff with all of you. So this game made you reorganize your books at home? Oh man, I'm so ashamed of my current state of my books right now. And not even kidding, after elevating the musician with enough sky for a key room, you picked up your guitar for the first time in months. Ah, that's always good to hear. Yeah, these are stories. I like that I'm not the only one who feels this way about it. Because, like, obviously I'm a Weather Factory super fan. But it's nice. I don't know, I just like it when, especially a game like this, can encourage people to reconnect with old interests. Or, I mean, this is the other thing about the Secret History setting. Sometimes people will learn new things about the world that they didn't know before. That's another thing that's quite exciting, and it's always a reward to be able to hear all of you talk about this. So, thank you for sharing. All right, I am gonna grab some vegetables. Well, fruits and vegetables, because I need to feed the chickens too. I'm going to try the beehive. I'm actually a little curious to see how this works. I'm going to leave 1 health aside. And yeah, I think this is a good enough start. Sorry, I've been really thirsty, so I'm just gulping away. The Yellowing Newspaper. It's dated the year that Hush House was abandoned. Nothing is history when it first happens. The occult scrapped, secret histories are layered beneath the one we know, like the notes in rare wine. The librarian knows this well. So we are going to eventually need some memories for the Watchman's Paradoxes, but right now I just kind of want to let we've got plenty of time in the day, so we could just sort of let this tick by, and then we'll see where things go. I think probably for myself. Ah, wonderful. Open a package, unwrap, unbox, unleash. Oh, the other thing I wanted to see is if in the full release version of the game, whether or not Viper eggs can produce. It's going to be hard to get a. This counts as a first course or a main course. Okay, so main, first, pudding. So in this case, we need a side dish. So let's see what the smallest side dish is. So my options here are almonds, crusty bread, egg croquettes, game chips, magnificent roast potatoes, mole au jus, pickled pilchards, roast potatoes, and pickled mackerel. I think the pickled mackerel might actually be the smallest. The only one with sky is the egg croquettes. The only one with winter is the roast potatoes. Don't have that many almonds. Oh, that's not true. Yeah, you know what? Unless, well, let's see if we can fit the mackerel. Pickling is a kind of afterlife. What comes after the afterlife? No, I have an Excel sheet where I put these in. Hey, Algrins, good to see you. Crusty bread is just a prelude to croutons. We do, in fact, have plum croutons, but I believe that counts as a pudding. So one should never mistake this with plums that are not ripe enough to eat. One is quite serious. You've never managed to make a meringue that didn't collapse. Well, the librarian has succeeded in this. um, all right, so if you were curious, Oswin, this is what happens. We've got a resentful Terrence. Cluck, cluck! And now it suggests a meal would be welcome. But before we do that, I feel like we need to have a chat with Tuppence, the other chicken. Offer this beast my company. Who knows? Perhaps it will offer something in return. Talking about bread makes you wonder how Dad's rosemary is doing. I need to use fresh rosemary from my garden with sourdough. Funny you should mention rosemary. If I take the potatoes... I thought I had the... Maybe it's when I make the potatoes? No, that's not it. I'm pretty sure I have one of everything in here. It's just a question of whether or not I can find them. Sorry, I know I don't have one of everything. One of everything I've been able to make. I definitely don't have the apple and meringue dish. It does seem like I might be missing the potatoes, though. We've got the magnificent roast potatoes. But I just want the good old-fashioned potatoes. Game chips. Yep. Okay, well, that's something for the to-do list. Anyways, there's a reference to needing rosemary for the roast potatoes and it being plentiful in Hush House. Oh, rosemary potatoes sounds good. All right, make a meringue, an ingredient for a higher purpose. So, we do want to replace this, but I'm also curious about whether or not viper eggs are the sort of thing we can make a meringue with. It is not. Or, sorry, that's not entirely true. I guess we need to add the element to the so. Yeah, so hatch the egg. We're not doing that yet. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. Rest and refreshment, summer. It is summer. I'm sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese in nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. All right. Let's think about how we're going to spend the rest of the day. So the Tryst and Fett are more or less spoken for at Crowcross Sands and the Moor. I'll eventually use the health probably for some more gardening, but I just kind of want to see what the results are. And I'm going to use a couple of elements of the soul to tranquilize the... Not actually tranquilize, but to calm down our hungry chickens. You literally got a piece of bread to munch on because of the stream. Yeah, sorry everyone who hasn't had dinner. I've definitely wanted to get a snack from what I was doing. Now this is interesting. Did I really just go for the pheasant and beef? I guess I did. So where on earth am I gonna put this? I think this gives me as good of a reason as anything to unlock more parts of the house. Yeah, there's all the teacup. Well, let's do our best with what we have access to. Can we put a pheasant on the... No, we cannot. Yeah, there's just no space. We'll see if I can remember where I put the pheasant when the time comes. This gives me a reason to unlock the vaults, actually. There we go. Well, it'll just be a little game to search them out. I'm wondering if maybe I can... Wait, I'll try raising the volume a little bit over time. I know it was getting a bit boomy the last time I played, but there have been some adjustments to the audio since then. So, ooh, mushrooms. All right, eat them on toast, bake them with potatoes, or pickle them alone. Ah, okay, so I have not baked the mushrooms with potatoes. That is a dish that I want to try as soon as I can, actually. All right. Sea-strewn, salt-snared stuff. We don't really need the shells, so we'll just send that off. Another trip to the moor. So we're definitely not going to do the salon tonight. Actually, I need to make I have a good reason to keep my health available. I actually need to make the invitations. So let's do that now. We'll use our health with weaving and not working to make Peribium. Actually, I don't need to do that anymore. So I'm gonna be patient. Yeah, they do look like little skulls, and I'm pretty sure that's deliberate. Although, for those of you, I'm trying to remember if there's a text for this. So if we add the meringue... Right, with spicing. A dish with winter. But yeah, I'm kind of curious about the potato recipe. Wait, where did I put my potatoes? Mushroom and potato bake. Interesting. I'm not quite ready to do that yet, but... Honey or beeswax if I'm careful. Alright. Definitely, we've got lots of honey, but that just means I'm going to make sure that I use it more often when, I'm going to use it more often when I'm leveling up followers. Okay, I think we are getting ready to go. All the action's really going to happen when we finish reading Serenity of the Blackwood. Prosciutto Fist says, I had to shower, do skincare early because you work at 6:15. I am so sorry to hear that, bro. Also their aesthetic. Oh, the mushrooms. Question, am I the only one who gets unreasonably excited when Cater and Hero arrives? No, both Cater and Hero and TRN are times of joy. You get to open up the package and get all the goodies. The only thing is that I'm really full. I think maybe Elopolis Nook is going to become a new... oh, I need to pickle some mackerel again. That's going to become my new larder. All right. Come here, you. All right, lovely to have, and thank you for sharing all the stories, Daily Daybreak. You're fading and have a busy day ahead of you tomorrow. Best of luck. Best of luck with schoolwork. Best of luck with costume work. And I'm looking forward to seeing you whenever you're ready to stream again, Daily. But have a good bridge. Yes, we'll put all the food on the bridge, right beside the books. All right, and now it suggests a meal would be welcome. Now, for those of you who want to keep track of the attitudes of the two chickens, we have got resentful Terrence, cluck, cluck, and pleading Tuppence, cluck, cluck. Grape time. Satisfy this creature's appetite. Food will make a hungry beast or a wild one cooperative. The Serenity of the Black Wood, an allegorical history of the House of Leith, which it is here implied was inspired by the centipede. Serrano Blackwood is an occult alias to this day. The proverbial footloose gathers travelers in a wood and leads them through, but abandons them part way. They find themselves beset by glorious monsters. The travelers discover they can survive if they close their eyes. They adopt a closed eye as their sign, and that they can go unnoticed if they drink from the clear, cold streams. They never forget that proverbial footloose, the centipede, but they never forgive her either. Winderer 77th of their name, thank you very much for the follow. Alright, 2 Sacralamea, that's exactly what we wanted, and a confounding parable for our troubles, so we'll make sure that that gets on the... Oops. Make sure that gets on the appropriate shelf. Oh, from Selpheia's Discord. Oh, of course. That's sorry. I feel like you're Wanderer. I feel like you you were in the chat. If I don't, I'm sorry. I forgot. I forgot that we had spoken before. Actually. You take notice. Okay, so thank you for stopping by, Wanderer, through Selpheia. I fully accept your conditions that Selpheia is responsible for your behavior at all times. And we have a lovely Australian broadcaster inside of the chat, somebody who I guess I count as a right-only streamer now because I'm not visiting their channel as much. But I actually had a wonderful time hanging out with Selpheia, who I think really gets some credit here for giving Book of Hours a try. I don't know if you've played it on your main broadcast, but Selpheia's pointed out that they're not the most patient gamer in the world. And so, and let's face it, you know, Book of Hours, it's a little, it definitely has more of a tutorial than Cultist Simulator. But I think it would be fair to say that most people probably do not consider... oh, did I get the pheasant because I wanted to put the jugged pheasant? No, that couldn't be it, because I... you know what? I'm going to switch out the pickled mackerel. I'm going to serve the jugged pheasant. Because it has sky. No! We will make this fit if it kills me. And who was that? We've got Wanderer here, so let me just catch up. I may have to replace the Eigengrau with another T. Sorry, Selphia, this is a terrible shout out for you. But yeah, no, Selphia, again, sort of introduced herself as not the most patient gamer. And while I do think that Book of Hours offers a better tutorial than Cultist Simulator, it still does not offer anything remotely close to the kind of tutorial that you would expect for a normal game. And or a traditional game, however you want to, whatever politically correct term you want to use to not make this sound like a complete weirdo game. But you know, I love these games, and I think it's great that Weather Factory did what they did, but part of that does mean admitting that it's not for everyone. And, as much as I like to joke, LOL, this game is for smart people, it's clear from the chats that we've been having today that this is actually a game that is part of the fun is being able to share it with people and share the experience. So I had a really wonderful time in Sylphea's Discord, just talking about the game, backseating, as is, of course, the only true way to appreciate Book of Hours. But I will say, like, there's a bit of credit deserved just because I realize that this is actually out of the wheelhouse. I'm just going to drop it. And we will serve the tea and then give things another try. But yeah, on top of just giving something unusual a shot, I actually had a lot of fun watching Sylphea play the game. All right, let me catch up with the let me catch up with chat here. So we've got we've got the kitty too. Or sorry, no, that's Tux that Osmond was referring to. No streaming, but you have been playing it. Wanderer says, I was sad to hear that the National Institute of Origami folded. The paper pushers who ran the place couldn't make the necessary cuts. It always sounded like an excuse of paperwork to me, but now it has simply ceased to be. I see we have one of these in the chat. Consider yourself. Actually, one broadcaster you will like, Wanderer, is Viridian. And I think Prosciutto Fist can share definitely that will be appreciated. I will actually probably steal that and use it myself. The pickled mackerel looks so inappropriate on the table. Yeah, so we've got jugged pheasant now instead. How you doing, Nearly Logical? Be a cat, throw everything off the table, then new stuff fits. This is why we put the cat in the room with sand. We're fine losing the we're fine losing the sand. Hello, Shane Newsom. Good dooming. And so you say that I feel it proves that you haven't been in your streams for a while. You are the queen of tangents, or just straight up derailing. Yeah, no. Well, it's not for lack of enjoyment that I haven't been in your streams, but I do need to admit that I have not been a loyal follower. What in the Sam Hill did we do here? It's a miracle. Now the real question is whether or not we can fit that tea. Better now. When Sylphea's shadow gets interrupted by a jugged pheasant. Yes. So how many of you, I know some of you were here when we discovered what jugging is, but are any of you in chat are any of you in chat familiar with jugged, the process of jugging? But yeah, anyways, I will say Sylphea is also a very kind and understanding streamer when her shoutouts get interrupted. But definitely somebody I've really enjoyed watching. I keep joking has been enjoying the 6,000 part my time in Sandrock stream, but she's actually finished Sandrock quite some time ago. And has actually, I think, I don't want to say has moved on, but has actually been doing a really good job with some more sort of city buildy and related games. Not just, but those are the ones that I've seen her play most recently. But I am also looking forward to a time where I can actually stay up later than I normally have been lately and get a chance to watch her broadcast, because it's one that I actually really like hanging out in. So I'm going to make a jugged pheasant ether dragon, so I'm going to save it for the description, but we are going to take a look at Wikipedia for that. So I believe it is jugging a hare that's described on Wikipedia, but it's still a fun entry to read, so we will do that in a bit. All right, poured out. Let's see if I can fit the tea on the... Oh, yes! All right, we're going to do a salon tomorrow. So, the next step is going to be to level up Watchman's Paradoxes to where I want them to be. So that's going to require, we'll say 2 Faust here. And that's also going to require 4 and then 5, so a total of 9 memories. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, of course, I could try and use some of these others. What do we have? So the Confounding Parable will work. Loss will not, and the Rain will not. So we need 8. And then, of course, I can, I can renew some elements of the soul and possibly get some from Mr. Kill. But let's focus on the task at hand. So for the 4 that I need, the easiest option that I have is to just get some music. So we'll read the Perugian Diaries. And then we did Unhatched Hymn, so here we'll do Singlefoot Songs. And then we also want the Beguiling Melody, so that will be from... it's a little bit of a shame I won't go back to Crowcross Sands this time, but... Duty Calls. So Wind's Ruin will work here. Alright, we're good for music. And that actually covers me in terms of Sacrilege, but let's see if I've got any other ones that I can generate. So Fear doesn't help. Patterns. Oh, I think I read... Yeah, so the Bittersweet Certainty is one that we can use. Contradictions doesn't work because it's, again, we're looking for Lantern or Sky. Foresight we might get from Mr. Kill. Gossip and Salt doesn't help. Impulse doesn't. Earth Signs we already have. Solace we might get from Mr. Kill. Satisfaction we might get from Mr. Kill. And I think that's it. So this gives me a decent start, and then we can figure out the rest. So actually, another thing I can do, I can consider a painting. It's been a while since I've done one of those, so I think we might have left off in Elopolis Nook now that I think of it. Or maybe I haven't considered. Let's actually start by considering the paintings in the infirmary. So, Witch and Sister. Investigate this object. You won't use this up or consume it by doing this. And then we'll have another minute with Tuppence. And then we can start talking with Mr. Kill. Oh, darn it. If I want... Yeah, I need invitations for Connie and Wakefield, so I can't put that off anymore. So, not all knots are physical. I can brew an ink which ties the naming to the named. So here, one other thing I'm going to do... we'll use the Sweet Bones, but I'm basically going to buy back all my elements of the soul at the Sweet Bones. The Witch and Sister. The Witch and Sister unites what is at rest. She is sought at the water's edge and beneath the moon. She cannot be separated. She cannot be touched. She is coral, amber, pearl. Abbot Geoffrey recorded a prophetic dream. 2 women, one in violet, one in white, gathering seashells. Each gave him a shell, but each gave him different advice. Did we just get the medal back for considering the painting? Or am I going crazy? Hello, Chunky Man Gamer! 30 months, my god, man. Thank you very much for your continued support for the stream. I'm glad that you still hang around. We are just about to have tea with Connie, Wakefield, and the Kills. Alright. More pickled mackerel. Where do I even put this? I feel like it should be near the pickled mushrooms, but it's a little full here. And sorry, Ether Dragon, I will get to describing jugging, but I need resources first. A Fillbelly makes a helpful friend. This beastie is now inclined to cooperate. All right. You need a pickling cellar that doubles as a tornado shelter? Clever. Hello, we've got a wild viper. Don't make any sudden moves. So I think we can sort our cat problems if we just make a little space to the right. Let's give people something to think about when they're on the stairs. You're kidding me. There we go. Ooh, this will be good for more Solomon's preparation. Although again, finding places to put it is a whole other question. All right. So I think I'm going to bring back a core for the start. It is summer. I'm sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. So that's ideally going to be so that I can get a get some more ink. Perugian Diaries. In 1907, at the age of 18, Christopher Lopoli left Strathcoyne's household to study theology at the University of Perugia in Italy, enrolling under the name Christopher Strathcoyne. For 4 years since his adoption from a Bristol orphanage, Lopoli served as Strathcoyne's pupil and protege, but his relationship with this austere and secretive man was always complicated. His journal confides, "I still think Fraser's intentions are good, certainly he agrees, but I never understood the final goal of his investigations. He was never prepared to enlighten me, and good intentions or not, I can no longer bear the stream of eyes. We have agreed to part, almost amicably." Lopoli left Perugia in 1909 without completing his degree. He had long lost interest in his studies, and the latter half of this journal is concerned with his studies of Umbrian folk songs, and notes towards his own compositions, which are of widely varying quality. One of the better ones, In the Marshes of Night, suggests he visited the site of the old Lake Fucinus near Ortuccio. Singlefoot Songs. Father Stanislav John Schaller, priest and diplomat, writes of his time on the slopes of Husan, near the Grove of Green Immortals, but never too near. Schaller's renditions of the grove are cautious. It's a library of the tree, but under the hand of the hour named Applebright. In time, however, Schaller comes to be more sympathetic to the Applebright, which he suggests causes harm only when so invited. The singlefoots of the title are one-horned, one-footed hill things with sweet but powerful voices, powerful enough to open the mountain. The singlefoot sometimes trample pilgrims, sometimes heal them, sometimes coerce them to enter the mountain and become singlefoots. Schaller explains that when he found this last becoming too tempting, he decided to return to his homeland. The Wind's Ruin, the second volume of the Meditations of Abbot Thomas of the Abbey of the Black Dove. Abbot Thomas speaks of his time as a raider when his name was not Thomas but Toke, scything the sea, striving for plunder. Abbot Thomas clearly regrets his storm years, and much of the book is taken up with his thoughts on penitence, but there are hints that he also misses those years and the companionship of his sword brother, ship brother, Trygeave. A sweet enchantment of a song. So I don't think this is enough for us to fully level up Sacralamea, but it gives me a good start. Glimmerings, an anonymous prison diary written by a dreamer convicted of oniric irresponsibility and confined to the Cucurbit. The prisoner is plainly terrified and bewildered by their situation, and has been unable to wrangle a coherent explanation out of anyone, But the dreams keep coming, and they keep writing them down. Have a lovely evening, Sophia, and I hope I get a chance to see you soon in your channel. Snow, broken mirrors, half-heard sky music, flowers of white, red, and black, a blood-streaked winter dawn, the most notorious signifiers of oniric risk, fantastically vivid and detailed. No wonder they were locked up. Their final recorded dream is of a worm jewel beneath Brandkrug Isle, which they open with a key carved from their finger bone. Eventually, the sun in rags always brings its beautiful ending. Okay, let's level some things up. Excuse me. I guess we can use this one. So I'm going to use the sight first because the sight is something that I can get with 30 seconds in the consider verb. The rest, I mean, any one of these things are something that we can get from other books. So I guess I'll use the Savage Hymn and the Cheerful Ditty. So satisfying to have come so far, improve the skill to level 5. So with that in mind, we need 3 more memories. We will have... Ooh, yeah, I'm really hoping for some luck with Mr. Kill, I think. We'll go for it, I'm just not feeling super confident. Some authorities claim it's difficult to lose a pot of Peribiate ink, but they haven't lived in Hush House. I suppose in the worst case scenario we can just delay the arrival of the guests, but I was rather hoping we wouldn't have to do that. About 30 seconds. Yeah, we'll get 2 chats with Mr. Kill. I think I am going to bring in the, I think I'm going to make the other pot of Peribiate ink. So, no jugged pheasant until tomorrow, I'm afraid. A full belly makes a helpful friend. Okay. Better now. Let's renew... I'll renew a Whist because I can kind of afford to lose one of those if I'm too late. So we're really kind of counting on Mr. Kill to deliver here. So Mr. Kill, Ryan Spry doesn't mind stopping for a gossip. Not all knots are physical. I could brew an ink which ties the naming to the named. And let's get those invitations written. So we want to bring Connie Lee. That's going to require some Moon. It's also not that hard to bring Moon, though. Request Connie's presence. Connie's address, Hotel Storken, Zurich. I have enough here to craft a letter inviting Connie to Brandkrug. Now I just need to post it. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? So the impulse doesn't help us leveling up Sacralme. I think this means I'm more or less assured not to be able to level up the Watchman's Paradoxes. Which, again, a shame, but I won't I won't kick up too much of a fuss. Does mean I should probably find some use for these, though, so it's too late to... Yeah, it's actually too late to do anything about this now, so we'll just let it sit. The intuition also doesn't help. So what I will do is write another letter. And for that, with Wakefield, I think it's just winter. Yep. One is instructed to write the letter literally: house, street, town, shire, country. Yeah, again, at this point, we're not going to do anything special. We'll just keep whatever memories we can. I think in this case, the bittersweet certainty makes sense. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. And I think, if you don't mind, I'm trying to get a little bit better at making sure that I take proper breaks, just stretch my legs and things like that. I don't need to make any tea or anything like that, so this shouldn't take too long. But given that we're going to be doing a salon, I figure at the very least we can build even more opportunities. Okay. Well, okay, that's decent then. Actually, I completely forgot that you were getting up at 5:15. So if you want to see if you do want to see a salon, I can extend it, Prosciutto Fist. But I think you probably just want to go to bed. So thank you very much for hanging out. I know there's a few more of you here since I shouted them out, but I will just highlight Prosciutto Fist's lovely stream, as well as Oswin Meow. Both of them are Book of Hours. I'll say Book of Hours players. I don't know if I'll say Book of Hours enjoyers, but Pro. I've run off midstream plenty of times with you. I completely understand the need to get a proper night's sleep. I hope you get more of a sleep than I do. So. But no, please do check out. These are two wonderful streamers who I've been very happy to see grow as broadcasters, both in terms of their talent and the size of their channel. But these are also people who I think you will all enjoy watching as well. So, all right. So yes, please forgive me. I am going to take a quick moment just to give myself a little bit of a stretch, and then when we come back, we will invite the Kills, and we'll invite Connie and Zachary for for some tea at the at Valentine's old haunt. I will see you all in a little bit. All right, thank you everybody for your patience. I'm trying to give myself a proper stretch and otherwise getting myself sorted out. Okay, sorry. I just saw a message. I'm trying to actually find. Oh, sorry. So, Pro was mildly apologetic for Manfest stream and Etsy for you, so I no longer have to wake up at 5:15. Yes, I will actually say, just as a quick note on that, I got a small apology saying, "Is like, oh, I feel like I was shouting myself out there." I'm like, I was shouting you out. That's fine. But yeah, for those of you, I do believe that Pro does have some ambitions of making streaming her career. So for those of you that are interested in those history streams, it will definitely help her out to get the word out. I know that so I've had the great fortune of seeing some people actually who did turn streaming into a career. I've met some people who've started off as a career, but people like Outworld and Kitch22, or I guess now he's just Kitch, are two people who I remember back when they were not, there weren't even affiliates on Twitch at the time. And these are people who definitely put in the work and got partner and have derived an income from what they do. And at least one of them has gone back to more traditional work. They had a family, and you know, at a certain point, I think some people do feel that maybe some of the things that they were getting into it for don't necessarily apply. And that's fine, right? You know, film directors retire, actors retire. Like none of the entertainment that we have lasts forever. But I can say, while I don't necessarily have any ambitions to do this for a living on my own, I have seen just how hard people work on this, and not always for the reward. So this is one of the reasons why I like taking the time to shout out the things that I value, because there are definitely a lot of very good channels out there which I think are deserving of a shot. And while I can't necessarily predict what will work for everyone, the reason I do take the time on this is that I think, if nothing else, you can walk away informed as to what your options are. So, and Pro is definitely one of those people who I like to show the support for. So let's carry on. We will take whatever memories we can overnight. Again, the key here is that I'm not going to use any elements of the soul until I've finished this salon. That's overly cautious on my part, but the idea here really is just I want to have all of my options available to me during the salon. Actually, you know what? There's one exception I will make to this. I am actually going to level up. No, I can't. I don't have enough memories for Watch. I was going to say, I was actually willing to try and level up Watchman's Paradoxes, because that would get me another element of the soul, which I could potentially use in the salon. But I'm going to roll the dice, because the one I really need is core. And I know I can't get core from Nyctodromi. Hey, we're tea buddies. Welcome back, Oswin. All right, let's send out some letters. Wrong place. The postmistress keeps the gate to the wider world. In her left hand is the lightning, which is to say the telegraph, and in her right the thunder, which is to say the only telephone in Brankrug. Before her lies the cash register, which accepteth the greater currency and returneth its lesser children. Patience, thus the mountain awaits the fall of the snow, thus Monday awaits the death of the weekend, thus the postmistress waits for me to purchase the necessary stamp. Stamp, envelope, send. I have carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. I am inviting people for the salon, yes. So we're inviting Connie Lee, who actually is currently in a little bit of a crisis in terms of her career. We do have some options in terms of helping her make that decision. But I haven't so first of all, I don't know what books. There are a few that I can guess, so I don't know if Glimmering would count. But we do have the prisoner records, and I don't know. I need to start thinking about the things. I'm assuming either things related to the Ostorium or the Suppression Bureau would probably be the ones that are most relevant. So the postmistress examines the letter and deems it sufficient. It'll go with the next post, she assures me. Next up, invitation to Zachary. I'll use the threepence in this case. Did Connie receive my invitation? Oh, and Oriflammes. Oriflammes established 1776, Sense, Signs, Sciences. Dear librarian, we would like to offer you a catalogue of uncharted pleasures. The Dark Gentleman is the only and rather grandiosely identified author of this often copied work. Now, this is an interesting challenge because with a gold Spintria, that doesn't leave me a whole lot of options in terms of language lessons, and I believe there are 2 that I still want to learn. Maybe not. Only 1. Never mind. But yeah, this is gonna definitely lower my total, but that's fine. It's I think it's worth it. Oriflammes thanks you for your custom. The other option I do like is if you try to make change for a threepence, 2 petty cash. The postmistress will break larger currency into change, but don't tempt her anger with so mean and small a coin as this. Also, so how do we invite the Kills? Mrs. Kill, the midwife, is tall and gloomy. Mr. Kill, the undertaker, is slight and wry. For 10 years, she has drawn villagers into the world, and he has shaped cradles for their departure. But she can also whittle, and he can also paint. Oh. Oh no, hang on. Right, I need to use the list. Mr. Kill always enjoys a chance to catch up with me. If you don't choose a topic, Mr. Kill will offer help as a friend. And ask Mr. Kill. No! No, hang on. Here we go. Invite the Kills to Hush House. This applies to any villager, by the way. Mr. Kill is clearly excited and remains courteous. Mrs. Kill is courteous and may be excited. As ever, it's difficult to tell. The Kills have sent a gift ahead. The Kills visiting. The Kills will attend the next salon in their Sunday best. The Kills are pleasant company, but not as erudite as some other visitors, and may be slightly less productive of lessons. This card will remain available until the Kills have attended a salon. So, just to be clear here, like again, I know some people do not like it when people play games this way, but like as it says here, right, this is not necessarily the best option in terms of a salon, and I would certainly like to invite many more guests. So I'm actually doing a fairly minor salon, and you can only do one every season. But the thing was, is I previously did a big salon with like everyone, and it was all occult figures because I wanted to sort of have a big one. And I thought, well, you know, the Kills seem so excited to attend, and they gave me a marrow ahead of time, and it kind of feels right to, you know, make sure that they're not feeling neglected, right? You don't want to invite them over once and then like not bring them back again. So I said, it's like, okay, well, I do want to have like this big gathering because there's a few things that I need to do. I wanted to talk to Arthur more, and I wanted to make sure there are a few more edge, aspected people visiting. And then I needed to make sure that Connie and Wakefield were there because there's the potential for further development in terms of that conversation. But definitely, you know, I want to make sure that the Kills get a chance to come up and visit as well. So in this case, I thought, you know, what better option than to have just a nice little interaction in the Gullscry Logia. And of course, the atmosphere is appropriate for all these winter people as well. You love them because they share their name with someone in your life whose name means rare in Korean Chinese. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, this is going to be a fairly quiet little start because I want to keep all of my. I mean, again, I can probably afford to lose one of the. Actually, with that in mind, I will jug a pheasant. Is Ether Dragon? Are you still around? Because the time of the jugging has arrived. One pheasant, roast it, or add butter if you intend to jug it. So we can roast it. Dish with forge, heart, rose, scale, and sky. All right. I'm actually curious. I don't know if I... Oh, yeah, no, hang on. Here's the good old-fashioned roast pheasant. Best when roasted upside down to start, but turned right way up before the end. I'm going to feel that Mrs. Kill is probably the one who's most out of place given all of the wintry people around. So we need butter to jug it. So we should have 2 butter hanging around. Yep. Jug a pheasant, a dish with edge, grail, heart, rose, scale, and sky. So just taking a minute here to bring up Wikipedia. Actually, hang on. I've got a whole cookbook here. Does it mention jugging? Does this... I'm pretty sure I just saw Pliny... Oh my god. Okay, so Pliny is mentioned on page 1152, 201, 235, 327, 470, 647, 723, 726, 741, and 786. Cool. Quite comprehensive. All right. So let's see if jugging appears in... Jubes are mentioned. Looks like it is not. However, Samuel Johnson also appears in this index. It could be that it's under different forms of preparation and it doesn't appear under the name jugging. Not that I want to oversell this. So cooking fresh meat, the methods. Modifying texture before and after cooking, flames, cooking coals and coils, hot air and walls, oven roasting, hot metal, frying or sautéing, hot oil, shallow and deep frying, hot water, braising, stewing, poaching, simmering, so that would almost certainly be there, water vapor, steaming, microwave cooking, after the cooking, resting, carving, and serving, and page 165, leftovers. So I wonder... Oh yeah, it's totally in here, just not as... not under that name. Cool. All right. So I've been teasing you all with this for a while. Let's go to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Jugging. Jugging is the process of stewing whole animals, mainly game or fish, for an extended period in a tightly covered container such as a casserole or earthenware jug. In France, a similar stew of a game animal, historically thickened with the animal's blood, is known as a civet, or civet, I'm not sure the pronunciation. Jugged hare. One common traditional dish that involves jugging is jugged hare. A similar stew is known as civet de lèvre in France, which is a whole hare cut into pieces, marinated, and cooked with red wine and juniper berries in a tall jug that stands in a pan of water. It is traditionally served with the hare's blood, or the blood is added right at the very end of the cooking process, and port wine. Jugged hare is described in the influential 18th century cookbook, The Art of Cookery, by Hannah Glasse, which really sounds like a secret history's name. Beginning in the 19th century, Glasse has been widely credited with having started the recipe with the words, "First catch your hare." This attribution is apocryphal. Her actual directions are, take your hare when it is cased to make pudding. To case means to take off the skin, not to catch. Both the Oxford English Dictionary and the Dictionary of National Biography discuss the attribution. However, having a freshly caught or shot hare enables one to obtain its blood. A freshly killed hare is prepared for jugging by removing its entrails, then hanging it in a larder by its hind legs, which causes the blood to accumulate in the chest cavity. One method of preserving the blood after draining it from the hare, since the hare itself is usually hung for a week or more, is to mix it with red wine vinegar in order to prevent it coagulating, and then store it in a freezer. Many other British cookbooks from before the middle of the 20th century have recipes for jugged hare. Merle and Wright have this to say about jugged hare, for example. The best part of the hare, when roasted, is the loin and the thick part of the hind leg. The other parts are only fit for stewing, hashing, or jugging. It is usual to roast the hare first and to stew or jug the portion which is not eaten the first day. To jug a hare, this mode of cooking a hare is very desirable when there is any doubt as to its age, as an old hare, which would otherwise be uneatable, may be made into an agreeable dish. In 2006, a survey of 2021 people for the television channel UK TV Food found that only 1.6% of people aged under 25 recognized jugged hare by name. 7 out of 10 of those people stated that they would refuse to eat jugged hare if they were served at the house of a friend or relative. Civet de lapin, rabbit stew, is an alternative to civet de livre and is considered a specialty of the cuisine of Martinique. Or Martinique? I don't know. Jugged kippers, another jugged dish, also traditional in the United Kingdom, is jugged kippers, which is kippers with the heads and tails removed in a covered jug cooked in boiling water. Recipe books recommend jugging kippers as one way of avoiding the strong smells that kippers have. So I'm slightly curious on this. So if it's only 1.6% of people under 25 who would eat a jugged hare, you know where we're going. Stargazy pie. No word as to any... Well, we have this. So the dish traditionally originates from the village of Mousel in Cornwall and is traditionally eaten during the festival of Tom Bocock's Eve to celebrate his heroic catch during a very stormy winter. You've all seen the Stargazy Pie entry before, right? Because if not, I'm going to do my best to read the Robert Morton Nance poem. According to the modern festival, which is combined with the Mousel village illuminations, the entire catch was baked into a huge Stargazy pie encompassing 7 types of fish and saving the village from starvation. The story of Bocock is popularized by Antonia Barber's children's book, The Mousel Cat, which featured the Stargazy pie. In 2007, contestant Mark Hicks won the BBC's Great British Menu with a variant of the dish. Exactly, Ether Dragon. So I don't know where jugged pheasant came from in this. I don't know if there's a recipe that they took, or if this is just an innovation. But this is part of the fun, right? You get to learn about new things. Although I do have a former coworker who has a lot of rabbits. So I don't know if I want to let them know about the recipe. MCO Constance Lee. Connie has risen swiftly in the Suppression Bureau to the exalted rank of Constable Oculate Minor. Don't get in her way. Mr. Zachary Wakefield, marksman, detective, renegade. He has always been a quiet man, but since he left the Suppression Bureau, he has grown even quieter and terribly still, except for his fingers and for his eyes, always in restless motion. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers to the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. So we will restore what we can. I felt okay using the whisk just because it's very unlikely that I'm going to use all of it. And a picnic at the Gulskry Logia, somber conversations where once poor Valentine sat alone. Here one might have a picnic, but only in spring or summer. Picnics must take place before dusk in spring or summer with at least 2 guests. The more guests, the more successful the salon, and you'll need enough food and drink in the room for everyone. So I'm curious if I move any of these items. Yeah, looks like there's no problem if I do that. I am going to try... I just wanted to see what the full requirements would be, but you know what? It's not really worth it. So picnic. My guests settle down to a picnic. There they are. Mansus Tales. Ask about dreams. Add a FET card. Now, it may ask for 3 FET from me. Zachary confides to Mrs. Kill that he thinks he will eventually be delivered of a kind of child. He asks if she can help. She scrutinizes him and says quietly that she cannot. He asks if she thinks he will live through the birth. She considers for a long time and then says more quietly that she thinks that he will. He asks last when she thinks the child might be born. She leans in close and whispers, "I think on a midsummer's day." Conversation ebbs and flows. Lively conversation. Say something witty. Add a Shapt card. Well, if I'm going to say something witty, I might say... I was sad to hear that the National Institute of Origami has folded. The paper pushers who ran the place couldn't make the necessary cuts. It always sounded like an excuse for paperwork to me, but now it has simply creased to be. Thank you to Wanderer77 for that. Let's bring that in. Can't remember where I... Oh yeah, I kept the drugged pheasant here. Just to keep the pigeon in line. So the good news is, I believe, having added this Shapt, we will know we're guaranteed to do everything for the salon. Zachary asks if Mr. Kill might make a coffin for him. I don't need it yet, he says, but we all might be grateful. Mr. Kill shakes his head slowly. Not his kind of work, but he suggests that Zachary speak of his troubles, and Zachary does so, albeit elliptically, in terms of mirrors, snow, wings, and the twist in the heart. So another snow stories. Another witty. Ha ha ha, Zachary, you're going to die. Better now. Summer, I'm sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings with good black rye bread soaking up the sun. I am, of course, doing no such thing. I am at the picnic, but... Connie, recalling that Mrs. Kill's maiden name was Raveline, questions her closely about whether she had any dreams of wolves or experienced any cravings for meat or for loam. Mrs. Kill patiently, if wearily, answers no to each question. My guests leave content. For a more successful salon, add more guests, ensure that you have the right soul cards, or both. A quiet picnic concludes. So a bit more of a quiet one, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. This is exactly what we wanted. So we have a satisfaction memory. We have a quiet salon. You held a quiet salon. Perhaps there weren't very many guests, or they didn't have much to say. Stone stories. Snow stories. And another snow stories. So we'll see if we can make use of these before the end of the season. But at this point here, we're going to be doing our best just to add some more... words. I'm going to try to add some more things to the Tree of Wisdoms. Chief among them, the Watchman's Paradoxes. So we'll start with Mr. Kill for that. There's still plenty that we can do during the day. So a couple things. So one, I'd like to level up Sickle and Eclipse, and I believe the snow stories will help me with that. So we'll set those aside. For Sickle and Eclipse, we will need, excuse me, just 5. So we probably won't be able to do that tonight, but it's good to keep that available. The satisfaction doesn't really do anything for me here, so I'll set that aside. The sunny day I can use for Sacralamea, so it's really just a question of 3 memories. And I can get those without too much trouble. So let's start. Actually, what I'll do here, so the Arab and the Fost. So if I get a chance, it would be nice, of course, to get the things that are time sensitive. In this case, the Walk on the Moor, and I have a little bit less that I can get from Crowcross Sands, but it's still worth the shot. So the things that I don't necessarily need would be the metal and the whist. So I'm gonna try getting the memories for those first. So we need 3 with Sky. And in that case, that's actually a very easy one for me to do, just because we can read all the songbooks again. So this is the point where we say, okay, actually we are going to make a shot at leveling up Sickle and Eclipse, because it's just so, it's a pretty straightforward one for us to put together. This is our Singlefoot's, or I guess Unhatched Hymns. Okay, so if we're going to try for the Sickle and Eclipse, we would want Moon and Edge. So the easy option there would be Contradiction, because Mr. Kill will not generate that. We can also use Salt, but not at this desk. Okay, so that's the 2 for the first one. We can use a confounding parable for another, although I think I'm running out of desks to do this at. I may have done It Is Written, but I'm having trouble remembering where I left off on some of these. Now I think that's it for the special ones that I can do. The rest are ones I can potentially get from Mr. Kill, so we'll just wait those out. And again, we've got plenty of time. We don't need to really worry about these. Now, I might as well draw up some water. I don't really need it right now, but it just gives me an option later on, and then I think we're just going to do some good old-fashioned gardening with these remaining ones. One thing I'm kind of hoping to do, I do want to make the most of the, I do want to make most of the ability to sort of harvest right now, but I am running into storage problems as well. And then in terms of memories, you know, we've got plenty of time in summer, but I do want to make sure that I don't have any leftover, I don't want to have like any leftover memories on the chance that we wind up in a Numa at some point. But again, all of that will be handled in the future. Mr. Kill can always spare a few hours to help a friend. So, Mr. Kill, Ryan Spry, doesn't mind stopping for a gossip. So it doesn't hurt to think about where we will host the next salon in autumn. So I believe we have hosted one in the refectory. I believe we've hosted one in the Hall of Division. We've hosted one in the Chapter House. And we've hosted one in the Gulskry Logia. So I think all of the available... Also, we wouldn't be able to host it in the Physic Garden. So let me just double check the bells here. Oh no, the one that we haven't hosted yet is in the Hall of Voices. We can have 5 guests, so I'll work out a guest list for that. But once I've sort of finished my summer tasks, we'll maybe start thinking about where we. We'll start thinking about what we. Oh, hang on, this is no, that's Orchid and Narcotics. We already have that. Yeah, we'll start thinking about where our next gathering is. You can't wait for that one? I actually don't know if the environment changes anything. We'll just double check. I would be very surprised if we could host one in here. As amusing as it would be to use the Rowanarium. Yeah, so we've got the Hall of Voices, which I know we haven't done. Again, I'm pretty sure we've done one in the refectory. I think our very first one was the Hall of Division. The Hall of Voices? I wasn't sure if you made it that far, Osmond. I don't deliberate, like, I always kind of walk a fine line where I don't want to, like, fully go on no spoilers, and like not show anything, but I also don't necessarily want to go out of my way to like show all of the details of some of the later things that you know, you may enjoy checking out for yourself. So, oh, it's the prettiest. I gotcha. The Dawn period's definitely an interesting. It just looks like you need to live there. It's a. There's a lot of different interesting parts. I'm still actually trying to work out what my favorite part of the house is, because there are a couple of things about the nocturnal period that are interesting, but like it's kind of hard to say that a prison is your happy place. So, I don't know. I'll have a think about it. Yeah, I think we're going to wind up in a situation where I need to find a use for... I may get to a point where I need to sort of dump these into cooking Okay, regret. Unfortunately, because I'm doing that with Sickle and Eclipse rather than Snow Stories, I don't think that will help me. The Wind's Ruin, the second volume of the Meditations of Abbot Thomas of the Abbey of the Black Dove. Abbot Thomas speaks of his time as a raider when his name was not Thomas but Toke, scything the sea, striving for plunder. Abbot Thomas clearly regrets his storm years, and much of the book is taken up with his thoughts on penitence, but there are hints that he also misses those years and the comradeship of his sword brother, ship brother, Trygeave. Those indignities perpetrated by the deceitful fraternity of Obliviots. It is not clear whether CROD, who is identified only by his initials, was in fact an initiate of the Obliviate Order of Immortal Adepts. He wrote in the 16th century after the order, if he is to be believed, had passed the height of its power. 58. That they did claim inheritance from the traditions of the House of Leith, but that they have disregarded both its sacred and most beautiful ceremonies where they are not found convenient. 59. 71. The Glassfinger toxin is no mere assassin's convenience for the Oblividiots to confine to the disposal of their enemies. It has higher uses. Certainly it is a great matter of winter, but I have already outlined the technique by which it may be fitted for its ultimate destiny. Ah! It is written. Musgrave, fourth. I'm glad you like that one, Osmond. Fourth of the DeWolf line writes tentatively about the Covenant of Brankrug and the legacy of the sacred inks he calls Incasta Potentialia. As the light passeth through a prism into many colors, so the great inks separateth into the lesser inks, and the lesser inks into inks minor. Musgrave coyly refuses to talk of the great inks, or else refuses to admit that he doesn't know much about them. He insists that Ugal and Stargal, which can be mixed with sufficient nectar or sky aspect, are sufficient for most befitting purposes. Actually, that was going to be a Sickle and Eclipse one. Perugian Diaries. In 1907, at the age of 18, Christopher Alopoli left Strathcoyne's household to study theology at the University of Perugia in Italy, enrolling under the name Christopher Strathcoyne. For 4 years since his adoption from a Bristol orphanage, Alopoli served as Strathcoyne's pupil and protege, but his relationship with this austere and secretive man was always complicated. His journal confides, "I still think Fraser's intentions are good. Certainly he agrees, but I never understood the final goal of his investigations. He is never prepared to enlighten me, and good intentions or not, I can no longer bear this dream of eyes. We've agreed to part, almost amicably." Alopoli left Perugia in 1909 without completing his degree. He had long lost interest in his studies, and the latter half of his journal is concerned with his studies of Umbrian folk songs and notes towards his own compositions, which are of widely varying quality. One of the better ones, In the Marshes of Night, suggests he visited the site of Old Lake Fucinus near Ortuccio. Unhatched hymns. Hymns attributed to St. Lucia the Eyeless, patron of glassworkers and name of the hour called Meniscate. The hymns venerate every sanctioned hour, celebrating them as the sun undivided, but also suggesting that each hour may become the next, madrigad to watchman, watchman to wolf, and so on. The hymn of the phases celebrates the Meniscate from whom we do not turn, for the truth which is beauty, the beauty which is truth, and the perfect balance between the two. The Hymn of Reflections, more puzzlingly, celebrates the Meniscate as sister of Janus, mother of Shadow, whose visage wondrous in emptiness can reveal all truths. And the Queen's Turn, a 16th century translation of the Barrowchild's account of Lagia's turn, when Lagia, the queen unsated, was offered the opportunity to enter the service of the hours of the Triple Knot, as long as she repudiated her brother-lover Antaios. Lagia accepts, setting aside the arts of the low red sun associated with Antaios. She bargains, however, for freedom for her daughters. The hours of the Triple Knot accept casually, knowing that Lagia has devoured her daughters, but while Lagia has decided in the secret hollow of her heart that she will adopt any who ask, if they can prove their fierceness. The traditions described here, the ones generally described as hill and hollow, are associated with Lagia before her turn, but now that she is a name of the Red Grail, they might also safely be used before an altar of the Triple Knot. think I've done that one. Let me check. Yeah. So let's level up Watchman's Paradoxes. At last, I am something of an authority in this. Improve the skill to level 6. So we're going to need 3 more elements of the soul. Or sorry, 3 more memories, rather. Hang on. I actually don't think I can do any of these. So stolen secrets may come from Mr. Kill. Fear may come from Mr. Kill. Excuse me. Patterns don't help. Intuitions may come from Mr. Kill. Confounding parables we already have. Contradictions we already have. We can use the salt. Wait a minute. Yeah, there we go. That makes a lot more sense. So I think we're right back where we started. I just wanted to double check. Yeah, so anything that we can bring in, we can potentially get from Mr. Kill, and I don't really want to. I don't really want to mess with that. So next up, I'm going to figure out my next salon. So I think I'm going to keep inviting Connie and Zachary because it did say that there was potentially more that would come up. But let's try and take maybe some guidance from the Hall of Voices. So we've got Moon, Edge, Nectar, and Grail. So Stanislav John Schaller might be a choice. It's been a while since we've seen Ecdistis. Actually, you know what? Let's make... Peter Ecdistis. Now, there are some ways of getting certain outcomes from Salon. So as it says, it's a party, not an interrogation. But there's definitely... Oh, actually, I just thought of another thing I can do. Definitely different guests are going to give you different memories. So if I want to think about how I'm, moving certain, like what skills I want to level up or something like that, I can sort of nudge it in a certain way. But that's not really the point of doing this. I sort of feel like the real interest for me is just putting together an interesting salon. So I'm not opposed to Arthur Moore. Let's think. So we've definitely got Connie and Zachary. Now Peter Ecdistis takes Sky to come in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what he wants to eat. So yes, he actually takes heart, food, and drink. So I have 2 more slots for guests. Serena Blackwood might be an interesting choice. What does she want? Maybe I'll... Sheets Forge. I don't know. I feel like Arthur Moore is a good choice here. Okay, so edge and lantern. Really enjoy the character interactions, bits of lores, but also makes the world feel more alive. I agree. Especially now, there's a couple that seem to be a repeat for me, but I don't necessarily hold that against the DLC because they're just interesting, right? I am kind of interested in seeing how the Connie and Zachary thing develops, but all right. So let me just work out a little bit in terms of, so lantern is usually the most difficult one. But it looks like either a stuffed golden marrow will give us some heart and lantern. Not cake. Not cake actually covers me for quite a bit, so I think we're going to serve that. Although not cake's also a little hard to sort out. So got so not cake will give me edge, heart, and lantern. Now, it just occurred to me, I still don't have a really good way of getting some lantern drink, so I think we're going to need to rely on the Catering Hero Second Flush of Sam for that, which is no hardship. Okay, so then we'll say, what do we want for a sky food? So the egg croquettes are interesting because they have edge, heart, sky, no winter. But but again, that covers me for a couple of extra bits. So winter is a kind of a priority now. Now, actually, roast potatoes are also an interesting choice because that gives me edge, heart, and winter. Wait a minute, side dish. So that I need to... Sorry, my bad. I've already got the side dish. I need the first course. Okay, so boiled egg is heart and winter. Oh no, but also sky. Okay. So now it's time for some main courses. So I'm actually just going to browse the main courses. So we've got our options here are Stargazy pie, the marrows, game pie, ham and egg casserole, jugged pheasant, roast pheasant, king's luck pie, ham and potato bake, honey haunted amber pumpkin pie. I'm not doing that. Marinated roast beef, pickled mushrooms are a main course. Okay, fair enough. Pickled pilchards, pumpkin pie, sea pie, steam spring vegetable pie, and vegetable stew. Now it would seem to me like we haven't figured out heart yet. So we've got the lantern, we've got the sky, we've got the winter. So we need heart and edge. This suggests to me it's beef time. So So marinated roast beef gives us edge and gives us 2 heart. What about the good old-fashioned normal roast beef? Did I not write that down? Hey, catastrophically Emma. Almost sounded like you said. Haven't tried any of the house. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we're. I'm mostly just planning. I'm mostly just planning for the salon. But apparently I didn't write down. Let me just take a minute to get this. That gives us an edge, a forge, 2 heart, 2 scale, which makes me wonder what's the difference. All right, so the marinated has a little more edge. All right, we're gonna do the marinated roast beef. Oh, happy birthday. Okay, so we've got with marinated roast beef, we will have let me hang on. I want to double check that I actually have that right. Nope, it's still 1. Actually, if that's true, then there's really no I think we'll just go for the good old-fashioned roast beef then. Yeah, we don't really need the extra grail for it. So that's edge, heart, and forge. Okay, so we've covered lantern, covered covered sky, covered winter. We've covered heart. So theoretically, we need something with edge. Or alternatively, like another heart or something like that. But let's just say what we're going to do. Ooh, leek soup is an interesting choice. Actually, could better still, I could do the onion soup, and that will also cover me for some heart. Pickled mackerel is also an option, as are pickled mushrooms, and I have quite a few of those. I don't know, I like the idea of an onion soup. Let's me use some of the dripping. So that's edge and heart. All right, so we know what the game plan is for this. I'll also have to worry about the drinks, but let's keep focused. So I'll just double check that there aren't any special requirements. Okay, not just now, so it won't tell me. First thing we're going to want to do is move all the stuff out. Mortar and pestle can stay. Yeah, the stuff that isn't food can stay, yeah. But... like I said, some of the fun is just getting ready for the salon and thinking about what you're going to serve. I hope I wrote down everything. Yeah, I did. So I think the knot cake actually requires the cuckoo honey. But that's fine because we got one that we technically weren't supposed to get, so I can just set that aside. This too is how I clean my. This is definitely how I have. Oh, actually, I love the description of this one. Madeira cake. In the 18th century, one would have a slice of this in the morning with a glass of Madeira, fortified wine from the Madeira Islands. Volcanic yet lush, rugged yet balmy, bright with the calls of sandpipers and firecrests. This is the 20th century. We have afternoon tea now. We don't drink fortified wine at 10 o'clock in the morning. There are no more sandpipers, no more firecrests, but the cake's still good. Almonds. Okay, so I've got, in the worst case scenario, I'm going to need 3 elements of the soul. So I'm going to set these ones aside, and I'm going to start cooking. Let's start with the knot cake. I don't even remember how to make this. Cake batter and cuckoo honey. Yes. Okay. Well, that's fine, actually. That gives me an excuse to... I'm going to take a second. I don't believe I did any surplus cake batter. This is what we're going to be making. So that gives me an excuse to use up some of the sugar. It's not dough, right? I think it's an egg. Yeah. Oh, dough and egg, no sugar. Okay. Wrong station, though. So I'm definitely going to need to get some more eggs before too long. Still, not much of a hardship for me to free up some room. Mix cake batter, an ingredient for a higher purpose. Now the hope here is that we'll free up some elements of the soul for later use. But priority number 1 right now is to get these lessons done. Oh, excellent. So I can move one of these tryst up. What I may wind up doing is using the tryst to generate the memory instead. Alright, now I don't really need the Whispering Sand, but I definitely don't need the quartz chunk. So, alright, we've got a plan here. This skill is now level 6. Its power aspects have also increased. Watchman's Paradox is that amber preserves and is preserved by light, that to hatch is not to die, that the sun. There is a place behind the world called the Mansus. Deeds that would be impossible in the world are inevitable there. The Watchman, who knows all the ways of the Mansus, also knows how to make these deeds possible in the waking world. Sorry, I want to double check. We'll hang on to that. Okay. So I have a special order in which I want to do this. So we have Sickle and Eclipse. So for that, we're going to use the Snow Stories. I definitely want to use the Loss. And I have to pick one of these memories. I'll give up the Confounding Parable. I'm no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. Okay, so the sand I can live with. It's Whispering Sand. A little water splashes on the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. So this is more water than I really need. I should probably use the pumpkin at some point, but can I even fit? Oh, we'll put you on the bridge. All right, more vegetables. I think we're just going to dump the... I don't even think I have room to dump these anymore. Okay, bridge time. Bridge. Bridge. And the reason why I wanted to do this in this specific order is that now I get another loss memory. Okay. So, I can afford to wait. So I'm going to use the Tris to level up the Sickle and Eclipse. The Arab will allow me to do some more cooking. I'll cook the beef this time. Roast a beef joint, a dish with edge, forge, heart, and scale. So the other whisk we'll use to make the knot cake when the time comes. And I guess we make money with the Faust. I'm trying to think what else I would want to do. Well, actually, I guess I could try and keep a memory. So stone stories. Let me just take a minute here and figure out what I might want to do with these. So my plan right now is Watchman's Paradoxes, Sickle and Eclipse, Edict's Liminal. Which is Knock and Moth. Oh, yes, Coil and Chasm. Okay, so that's an easy option for my stone stories. Now that's going to require a health in this case, so I can't level it up. But I could... Yes, I'll read Sigglefoot songs again. Okay, so again, we still need one. We need one memory with Edge or Moon, so I'm gonna need to wait. I think we've got. I'll probably just need to leave it at one more chat with Mr. Kill, actually. The foresight sadly didn't help me there, so we'll still keep talking with him, but we'll... Excuse me. We'll read a book on our own. Actually, it doesn't have to be contradiction, I guess. It could be any of the things, but contradiction's a slight preference. Or, sorry, not contradiction. Confounding Parables a slight preference just because it doesn't get copied. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sneezing like a cartoon character. I don't know why. The Moon's Egg. Oh, what am I saying? I've already got what I needed. All right, that was a waste. That's fine. We're committed to our path. An ingredient for a higher purpose. All right. You know what time it is. Cake time. So, cuckoo honey. Bake a knot cake. A dish with edge, grail, hearts, lantern, moth, nectar, and scale. Skill is now level 3. Its power aspects have also increased. So now that everything's in place, I can also move this up to the right section. Oh, Watchman's Paradoxes also needs to be moved. What's going on here? Cyclone Eclipse will actually eventually be 7, so... we have quite some distance to cover, but... Alright, that sorts me out a little easier. Another fruit plucked from Knowledge's tree. Improve the skill to level 4. And let's see if I have any space to deposit some of these, preferably in a kitchen. Nope. Those bowls are absolutely massive. I'm looking forward to setting these all up in the Hall of Voices. Now I kind of feel like it's a little empty. Dead men don't tell no bloody tales. Well, who'd listen? So we'll wait for the books to finish before we set those aside. And I may have to move the Lethe Lees. Maybe we'll put it on the shelf here. The Singlefoot Songs. Father Stanislav John Schaller, priest and diplomat, writes of his time on the slopes of Huashan, near the Grove of Green Immortals, but never too near. Schaller's relations with the grove are cautious. It's a library of the tree, but under the hand of the hour named Applebright. In time, however, Schaller comes to be more sympathetic to the Applebright, which he suggests causes harm only when so invited. The Singlefoots of the title are one-horned, one-footed hill things with sweet but powerful voices, powerful enough to open the mountain. The Singlefoot sometimes trample pilgrims, sometimes heal them, sometimes coerce them to enter the mountain and become Singlefoots. Schaller explains that when he found the last becoming too tempting, he decided to return to his homeland. So that's the one I'm keeping. And we've got some spare drip. Actually, that'll be helpful. Our fathers of old were robust, stout, and strong, and kept open house with good cheer all day long. When they made their plump tenants rejoice in this song. Oh, the roast beef of old England and old English roast beef. Henry Fielding, The Grub Street Opera. Moon's Egg, the third and last volume of the Meditations of Abbot Thomas of the Abbey of the Black Dove. Abbot Thomas speaks of the coming death he hears in the sound of the waves, but rejoices that his blood will water the egg of the moon, by which he seems to mean the future. The last chapter was dictated, not written, by Abbot Thomas. When Thomas's old sword brother Trigev returned to raid the abbey, Thomas had broken his monastic oaths and taken up arms to defend the abbey. The two had both been mortally wounded. Thomas's last words are, "The wheel turns, the moon sleeps." Forgive me, I just need to check something here. I know I'm going to be wrapping up reasonably soon, but I want to set something aside. Okay, let's make sure we have everything set aside. we'll have a cake to place in a minute, but I also have a smudge on my glasses, so I'm just gonna get a cloth. Okay, sorry about that. Not cake, according to the ancient pattern. I feel like not cake is appropriate to keep in the Hall of Voices. On we go. Memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. Now, I think probably we're going to spend most of the time talking to the chickens, but it wouldn't hurt for me to actually come up with a little bit more of a serious plan for the day. So I don't know if I get any fog during... Sorry, 1 second here. I don't know if I get any fog during summer, so it wouldn't be good to rely... Oh, actually, that doesn't give us rose anyway. Come to think of it, I don't know if there's any rose weather except in Numa. So... I'm going to take a minute to think this through. So let's say we have a barber who starts with 1 rose. So the memory would then give 2. And the tool would give 1. And the fet would give 2. So that we go 1, 3, 4, 6. And we need 11. So I'm trying to remember my food and drink options for... Rose is a tricky one. I think realistically I'd probably want to push pretty hard on the memories. Yes, I mean, there's an opportunity here with the barber, but it's one that's a little more challenging for me to satisfy with my current set. Now, this would be a time where perhaps trying my luck with some of the special guests at the Sweet Bones would be a good idea. I'm actually starting to lean towards that option. But I do have a couple of things that I want to do no matter what. So, number 1. Well, first of all, we were going to move up Coil and Chasm. So, if we take you, we'll put you up to 3. And for that, we need... Well, I mean, we can use the Earth sign in that case. So, that one's a pretty easy one for me to handle. I'll set aside one of the health. So I can read Dirasio Quercum. I am going to have a chat with the chickens. Offer this beast my company. Who knows? Perhaps it will offer something in return. And... oh, I did say that I was going to make onion soup. So... we will identify as an onion. These are onions. Wonderful. All right. I guess I can start recovering some of the items from the bridge. Good start. I will commit the Watchman's paradoxes now. From change, we recognize the dream places that the Watchman shows us, though we have never seen them before. Perhaps we were something else when we saw them. This paradox is fundamental to Nyctodromy. So in 5 seconds, I'm going to do some more cooking. And actually, I can boil an egg now. Although I think I also need some... Yeah, we'll just boil the egg. Oh yes, sorry, one other thing. I am going to try my luck with the unusual help. What visitors might be passing through? Find out what unusual passers-by might be looking for employment. Alright, the prima materia of cooking. This may be why the cosmos is shaped so like an onion. Now, I didn't really plan this out all that well because I don't have... Well, I guess I have the core. I'll live with it. And the dripping. Egg onion soup. Alright, so as before, we'll see what the... Well, actually, we can definitely afford to use the fat for a walk on the moor. I've carried a memory like a flambeau safe through the mazes of night. So, we were waiting for this, and this is so that I can get the early coil and chasm leveled up. I am no expert, but I'm no dabbler either. Now, the important thing here is that I'm going to need 4 more scale or nectar memories, so we can actually start queuing those up now. I suspect those are not going to be easy to come by. Oh dear. I believe orchids and narcotics will give me some nectar, so it's actually rather good that I ordered that. However, I think the grail may be a challenge to obtain. And I mean, I guess the ink. Because if I go for, what was it? Resurgences and emergences. I know we have. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so that's a moth and grail, so that doesn't help. Oh, insects and nectars. Mind you. Well, no, that's not That's also not a hard one, so. This also gives me just a chance to clean up the shelf here a bit. Okay, so no, no, no. This is a maybe, although the rose is hard. No, no, nope, 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 nope. Okay, so I have my work cut out for me. I think the most I would get out of these books would probably be 3. So I imagine that probably the Catalog of Uncharted Pleasures and then the Kukurbit Prisoner Records are the way to go. However, there is an open question as to whether or not I can actually pull that off. And that is a question I will answer later. Moving on. I think a lot of this rests on what happens with the visitor. Actually, I probably should be working out my game plan. So theoretically, if I were to try to read the Kukurbit Prisoner Records, we would use the health here. So our best bet right now is the Leaves and Thorns. So that brings me up to 8, which is definitely not where I need to be. We can get up to 10 with the memory. So I guess in that case, what we do is we make Ugal Ink, which I actually already have. But knowing what I know now, let's just get to work making another Ugal. Now the tricky part here is that I would need... Yeah, this is harder than I thought. Okay, so I need to craft it probably at the Hall of Voices here. Unless Rites of the Root. Yeah, Rites of the Roots makes that easy, actually. So, actually, with that in mind, then we just read the book using the Ugal that we already have. But known as desk. But I don't have the memory, right? I don't know if I'll be able to make it to the end of the day in-game, but we will at least make sure we wrap up a couple of the tasks that I have for today. Eventually I'll move this up to the 7 slot, but it's kind of Swiss cheese right now, so... do I want to do anything with the consider verb before I commit things? I don't think so. I mean, I could read another... I guess I can read another Earth Sign book. And now it suggests a meal would be welcome. I think I'm going to feed them the pumpkins. I can't quite see... can't quite see what I would do to fill up the amber one. All right, Duratio Quercum. In English, the title translates roughly as The Account of the Oaks, but this is Nathaniel Darcy Ever's fascinating if haphazard survey of the occult properties of every tree that he can find, not just oaks. In Persia, Taxis Baccata, the yew is called Sorkdar, which is the red tree. There they had long understood the grail root. In later times, the great king of Pontus had beehives set in the branches of the oldest of the female trees. The berries of the Pontine yew open the door to death, but the honey of their flowers opens a different door entirely. This was not the great king's Mithridate, but one who has suckled at the great yew fears poison no longer. Perhaps they should. Nathaniel is here distracted, however, by the toxic properties of certain inks. He does mention more usefully that the minor ink of power Yew-Gall can be brewed through rites of the roots with the assistant of the aspect nectar. And we have our boiled egg, neatly packaged nutrition, pale as December dawn. All right, let's move the other egg over. Now, I think I may actually need to do a bit more cooking. Yeah, so I need the crusty bread. Now I can get to work on that right away, but it does mean that I'm going to need to make a replacement crusty bread. So let's get started. So there's the bread. Make egg croquettes, a dish with edge, forge, heart, scale, and sky. So with that in mind, we will... I guess I've already used up the dough, although I do have some spare flour over here. Mind you, I don't have the cooking slot, so unless I want to use... Oh, no, even that's already on its way. Okay, well, that's fine. We'll just make a replacement crusty bread when the time comes. We will now read the Kukerbit prisoner records. And that's in anticipation of the... That's in anticipation of leveling up the Coiling Chasm. So I can master this mystery, enough nectar to match mystery nectar. All right, that gives me a decent start, I think. Nope. All right, so we've got the consulting engineer. Now, if we want, I do have the option of hiring this person because we do have a couple of forge rooms that I can open. So if they start with 4, then we can get 6. I think I'm just going to leave that. Tough call. I think I'm going to leave it be for now. I will we'll use the shaft in this case. This is more about the options rather than spending it. Okay, onion soup, just enough tang to tantalize. So this I think we need to just leave alone for now. It's a tricky one because, like, I do have a use for this consulting engineer, and if I want, it would not be a bad idea for me to sort of get the get them out of the way and equipped as soon as possible. But I'm going to stick to my guns on this one. What I think I will do, though, so if we have the Hall of Voices, I think I'm actually going to make the invitations now. So, oh, but I can't put weaving and not working. Well, that's fine, because I think if we go to the dispensary, we can use the tryst there. So then we used weaving and not working. And then we add the kitchen bowls or the mop and bucket. Doesn't matter which. Right. I have to use it, but the Tan's desk will allow this. So we can basically use, as long as we can get to a desk, any desk that will accept weaving and not working, we can make a Peribiot out of now. And we will have 5 guests, so I'm going to need to do that 5 times. Basket of apples, notoriously hard to take just one bite. So this gives me an excuse to use the meringue. All right, to the bridge with you. This is a happy, happy day, because that's one of the, I guess there's two recipes that I don't know how to make. Well, there's definitely more than 2 recipes, but there's 2 recipes that I haven't made yet just because I didn't have the materials available. I'm going to need to... Actually, we can use the metal here. So we take the basket of apples, and we take the spare meringue that we made, and then the spicing. Bake an apple meringue, a dish with forge, grail, nectar, and winter. Wrapped in the King. Detailed accounts of secret bacchanals and ecstatic dances observed in necropolises and graveyards in southern Europe, in Egypt, and in Anatolia. The author is a self-confessed ghoul and eater of buried flesh. He claims to have witnessed the dances while at his feasting. The dances draw from the traditions of the mysteries of the cults of Isis and of Sybil, but include both symbolic and literal flayings, and the human heart is always central in the rites. The author punctuates his accounts with queasily sensuous descriptions of his own interrupted feasts. At the greater feasts, a black pig is always crowned as king before its slaying. On this occasion, its heart was weighed in the balance against a knot of feathers, and its skin became a cape for the officiant. Its flesh was left for the crows, but I must confess my interest was not in its carcass, but in the perfumed flesh of the milliner laid fresh in the earth. So we've got the earth sign back now. We are still working on the eggs. Now, I believe there was, I think it was mushrooms and potatoes. That was the, there's a dish that I can make with that, although I guess I need to wait. But I would be interested in making that just for, I'd be interested in making that just for the stats. Now it's just a meal would be welcome. So we're definitely going to turn these eggs into something. I'm actually sort of running short on a few of the things that I need, but that's fine because we've also got space. So we will talk with the beastie, satisfy this creature's appetite. We've got the eggs. Come for the crunch, stay for the nourishment. Okay, so we've got spare slots available. Let's take advantage of them. So I guess I need to make the bread now. So I think as far as flour goes, I'm limited to what's in the cucurbit. And we use butter for that as well. So that's the last of the butter that I have. Now, that's fine because I can always order some more. But it seems to me like this is an opportunity for us to actually to be able to work out the we should be able to work out the orderings a little bit. You forgot to tell you, I found a stray cat in the game today. It made you so happy. So you got to see 2 eyes big as saucers. I'm very glad that you found the cat, Oswin. So I think we've told you, I can't remember if I've told you or not, but this is actually modeled after one of the cats at the Weather Factory home and possibly office. I'm not quite sure which ones go. Apparently one is more rambunctious than the others, which I think is interesting. Oh, we did get the musician. Okay. The musician is entertaining the patrons of the Sweet Bones for pennies. Not very many pennies. He'd jump at a better paid opportunity. Okay. So now I'm going to need to think about this. That is such a cat owner thing to do. For those of you that do not know, Oswin Mio has a lovely cat. Okay, so if we were to change what we're up to with the musician, so if we do everything else the same, so we do the barber, then theoretically some memory for 2, which would bring us up to 6. Then 2 for 7, and the FET would bring us up to 9. So then that's a question of just getting us another 2 rows, and that is just a matter of drink. So the only thing that has me worried is that we've got 53 seconds. Okay, memory is 30, tool is 30, FET is 30, drink is 30. We don't have the time. Damn it. All right. Well, fair enough. We will make some money at the Sweet Bones then. Right idea, just did it too late. So here's what I will do instead. I'm going to serve a glass of water. And that's going to be because I'm going to make an effort to level up the... my god, the bots have been atrocious today. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get the coil and chasm leveled up by the end of today. So we will take the... we'll go for a fear and impulse and a... Oh yeah, I've got tons of Trist, so... Actually, I should leave some elements of the soul for interactions with the chickens, but we'll take a fear. So I think we're on to the Sun's Lament. Oops. I think I'll use the metal in this case. Yeah, I'm starting to run out of elements of the soul. Okay. We will... I think against my better judgment, I will read the Malachite Supplications. Poured out. Alright, so this one's fairly important for us. I need to get my health back quickly. A quick nap in a warm bed with something comforting to drink, while the winds chase the clouds and the clouds chase the sun. Poured out. Yeah, so choosing not to use the musician actually wound up making it quite a busy day, so maybe we will get near the end of the day. Some authorities claim it's difficult to lose a pot of Peribiot ink, but they've never lived at the Hush House. So this one, we will definitely use the Tryst again. Slightly annoying the kitchen bowls didn't come back, but there you go. So we needed 5 invitations when all is said and done. Yeah, I think we're actually in pretty good shape. So the question here is really, do I want to do more cooking or do I want to do anything else? The apple meringue. Harvey Hattington, during his convalescence at the house, was so obsessed with the meringuing techniques that he was ultimately banned from the kitchen. All right. So that is a pudding, 1 forge, 2 grail, 1 nectar, and 1 winter. So that wouldn't have been a bad one for the for this salon, but we'll set it aside. Okay, let's think. I think we will stay with what we've got. The Kukerbit Prisoner Records, 1927, accounts by Governor Collar's private secretary of interventions and experiments in the last years of the Kukerbit prison, focusing particularly on prisoners he believes might have Carapace cross lineage. 2 prisoners suspected of oniric crimes are encouraged to access their inner Carapace cross tendencies and develop the attributes of the Seglaz kind, sickle-formed pseudocrustacea. Regrettably, they lose the ability to breathe air. One dies, and Collars releases the other into the sea. Collars describes how he successfully induced an unstable Carapace larva to develop into a greater form, using insects and nectars techniques in the context of considerable moon aspect to awaken what would rather remain hidden. He hopes that similar techniques might be used to expedite the moral development of prisoners. This gives us an impulse. That's going to be a duplicate, sadly, and that is 2 insects and nectars. So all told, we're going to need to read 1 more of these books, and I think it'll depend on which one's the easiest for us. But for now, let's shelve this thing properly. An ingredient for a higher purpose. So this, I think, is just a question of baking bread. Bake bread. A full belly makes a helpful friend. This beastie is now inclined to cooperate. So let's feed the other chicken. The not Terrence chicken. And that one will have to use Shapt, I guess. What am I doing? I could feed it another pumpkin. Satisfy this creature's appetite. Food will make a hungry beast or a wild one cooperative. We're almost out of the woods as far as the vegetable bags are concerned. An afternoon spent profitably reading newspapers to the curious, writing affectionate letters for the lonely, steering farmers through the requirements of the Ministry of Agriculture. Okay, I'm going to double check what I've got here. So we've made the knot cake, we've made the egg croquettes, we've made the boiled egg, we've made the roast beef, we've made the onions. Did I really put all 5 in already? That was a productive day. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's gonna mean I need to make some drinks. Mostly I just want to figure out what I want to do with the sweet bones for the rest of the day. So there is one more recipe I can make, so I am going to pay for restoration. Granite slab can go to the sea. Alright, so we've read this one a couple of times already, so I'll leave it aside. I'll definitely read the new ones, though. Malachite Supplications, prayers addressed to the Malachite by the Sisterhood of the Triple Knot. If we should flourish not, let our enemies flourish, in that time when we are no more. One prayer describes how a strong degree of nectar aspect can be used with Lethe and Tridesma Hyra rites to bring forth the last nectar of the last history, the living ink, the ink in secret. And the Sun's Lament, the first volume of the Meditations of Abbot Thomas of the Abbey of the Black Dove. The thorn-beaked crows took my eyes from me in justice for my crimes, but I thought I lost my sight. But though I lost my sight, I found my light. Abbot Thomas speaks of the breaking of his oaths to his sword brother Trigev and to the Lord of Scars that he served before he came to the abbey. He writes of the power of oath bonds and considers the means and morality of their sundering. Okay, so we will... Oh, I don't have the health for it, so we gotta wait. But we will be leveling up Coil and Chasm. And for the rest, we just wait out the day, I think. I will use the mushrooms to make something. Alright, so we'll need 3 more of these things to write the invitations. I could actually write the invitations right now if I wanted, but, well, doesn't hurt, I suppose. So Zachary first. I deserved a little quiet time. Alright, so with that, take Coil and Chasm, the health, Savage Hymn, Impulse, and Fear. Insects and Nectars, another fruit plucked from Knowledge's tree. Improve the skill to level 4. Now, it wouldn't hurt for me to take a quick second and see whether or not either of these are a possibility. I think the Catalog of Uncharted Pleasures is the more likely of the two. So if we take the Catalog, if we take... I think Leaves and Thorns is my best grail on this. Yeah. So then we would add 2 to get to 8. All right, so we're in the same... We kind of have the same dilemma as before. So we can use the Arab to get to 8, and then, just for the sake of argument, say Satisfaction would bring us to the memory. But then we have one of 2 possibilities. Either we take our chances and we go with 1 less on the assumption that we will have another opportunity to, recover it with the extra Arab, with another memory. It's one of the more likely ones. Or alternatively, we find a Grail ink. And the funny thing is, I actually don't recall which of the inks I currently have that would be a suitable Grail candidate. Was a pot? I can't remember if the Pot of Divinity was here or not. A full belly makes a helpful friend. Alright, and the crusty bread. So I think I took up its old spot. No! Okay, bridge time. Oh, nope. Alright, I'm pretty sure I can rearrange things though, so... There we go. Alright. More like it. I think that's it. Again, I wasn't expecting to get to the end of the day, but I figure we might as well run out the clock. Now I just need to post it. We can do that again with the existing Pribiat. Right. So it will be helpful to unlock more of the house just so I can just so that I can use the typewriter. All right, what was it? It was, oh right, bake them with potatoes. Make a mushroom and potato bake, a dish with heart, moon, nectar, and scale. I'm also happy that we got a few more recipes. Okay, so while we're getting ready for the end of the day, let's take a quick inventory of how we spent the time. We have got all of the food items for the salon. I still need to serve the various drinks. That actually should be an option for me now, so... our lantern... Alright, well we've already got a wild viper, so... Night has fallen, dawn will come soon. So I don't think there's much in the way of memories for me to... Oh, here we go. Hindsight. There were two of us, and now there's one. Yeah, so I don't think I have any memories that I can really keep for tonight. We can't keep the weather. So I think I'll just take it as is. But yeah, in terms of the summary of the day, so we got the food for the salon taken care of. Mushroom and potato bake. Callers tried out a variation on this as a Cucurbit prison fare. As Cucurbit prison fare. It was tasty, but allegedly also he was interested in the connection between the modulation of the taste of mushrooms and the suppression of the crowned growth. Okay, so this is a main course. I'll just double check that. The heart and mainstay of a good meal, and it's heart, moon, nectar, and scale. So there may still be recipes that I haven't found yet, but in terms of the ones that I am aware of, I believe that is it. And of course I need to find a new place for this. So, the next sort of day, we're going to pour the drinks. So I think probably what happens here is we'll use 2 cups of Cater and Hero Second Flush Assam, we've got plenty of it, so I should be able to brew another one. So that should take care of the lantern and edge needs. I'm actually going to write these down. So so sky, I guess we still do the blue crown tea. Witching to Sane for the heart. Okay, yeah, teas for everyone. So yeah, so we'll serve teas. I'll need to make a blue crown, but that's not a major hardship. Of course, we have the option too. I could serve the Lapsang, the Veiled Goddess Lapsang Souchong, and that would give me sky. So then I could give that to Connie Lee, and then we would give the we could give a glass of water to Zachary Wakefield and Peter Ekdistis. But I don't know. Feels nice to give everyone teas. And yeah, Arthur Moore and Lalakaima, Lantern and Edge, the second Flush of Sam seems to be the right choice there. And then we're ready to go. I mean, at that point, we'll use 3 elements of the soul to make the invitations that I need, and we will need to find a way to read the Grail book, or just take our chances. But I don't think that will be. I don't think that's going to be particularly difficult. And then yeah, so the rest of it will be. Oh yeah, sorry, I was going to move. Well, actually, yeah, Coil and Chasm. Coil and Chasm is going to be a big one. So maybe we'll just move it. We'll move it in the usual places. Although we are going to turn it into 5, so we can set it aside there. Yeah, there's a little bit of a shame with the Coil and Chasm just because it's not the one that I'm immediately going to be leveling up, but I guess I need to focus on what I can do right now. Okay. I'm going to say that's it for tonight. Thank you everybody for watching. So I did talk a little bit about the plans for the next little while as far as the stream goes. So there will be for the 3rd week of this month, I believe it is both Thanksgiving and the local game dev meetup. So that will be a Friday only stream that week. Otherwise, while I expect that there will be a number of interruptions to the broadcast, not interruptions. I don't expect there will be interruptions, but I do expect I will probably have some more evenings where I stream late, and that's just because it's a very busy time at work. I don't like the idea of just sort of, treating the streams as optional, but I do also kind of need to be realistic about the fact that I've kind of got an hour commute, and that it is sometimes better for me overall if I put a little bit of extra time into doing what I need to get done, because I do find it a bit easier to just sort of wrap everything up properly at work and then get in a little bit later the next day than it is for me to, try and make a stream, leave something half done, and then sort of scramble around in the morning to try and get everything done. So I do realize that the stream has suffered a little bit in terms of just me sort of being there on time. But I will at least say that things are going very well at work, and I know that that is going to be... I am ultimately... this is not going to last forever. Work is actually quite conscious about how much I am working, so... And they are encouraging me not to take it easy. So, but I do need to get a couple of major projects done, and then we'll be ready to go. All right. let's see who is online to host. And thank you for hanging out, Ether Dragon. Well, not just Ether Dragon, all of you. Let's see if there's any options. Okay. So no Secret Histories games, it looks like. So I'm going to raid Kilgore Trout tonight. Kilgore Trout is somebody I met through the GOG stream team. There was, for the launch week of House of Light. Actually, he stopped by and I completely failed to say hello to him despite seeing his message. So I feel like a bit of a jerk for doing that. But he plays a lot of classic games and actually plays them on the original hardware. So he'll have like an old, I don't know, was the Pentium MMX a thing, or MMX was just a feature? Anyways, whatever it is, he'll have like an old PC that he plays some of these classic games on, which I think is kind of a neat angle to that. But he's playing Ultima Underworld right now. I believe that was because I seem to recall that was because one of his viewers had a birthday and requested that. But I will leave you all in his capable hands. I'm going to get some sleep, and I'm going to do my best to record some new Book of Hours videos for YouTube. It's also worth remembering that there's going to be a big 13-hour episode that gets put online as well. So I need to make sure that that gets taken care of first, and then the rest of it we will sort out. Anyways, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you on Monday in the next one. Until then, take care.